prepared to take the minute? Oh, sorry, Linda, you're on mute. Nope, still on mute.
Okay, I had to say got it before it let me go. So I'm good to go. Ready.
Okay. All right, then. We are now recording. We are now calling the meeting to order. The time is now 7:06 p.m. I want to welcome everyone to the executive meeting for Brooklyn Community Board 9 for May 2023. Welcome everyone. Happy that everyone was able to join. I thank all the chairs and all those members of the community and board members who are here with us as well. In terms of housekeeping, so remember, if you are on by phone, please use the *9 function to raise and lower your hand. *6 function will help you toggle mute and unmute. If you are promoted, if you're an attendee and you're promoted to speak, if you are on phone, again, it's *9 to raise and lower, *6 to mute and unmute. If you are promoted in, you will be given a prompt to unmute yourself. Again, you will hit *6 for that. We're going to waive the reading of the rules of order. I just would like to remind everyone at this time, we just ask that everyone be respectful of the speakers. Even in our disagreement, we ask that you please respect all speakers and please keep microphones muted when you are not when you do not currently have the floor. Okay, so at this time, we are now going to move on to public commentary. Dante, has anyone signed up for public comment for the exec committee meeting today?
No.
Okay, there is no one who has signed. At this time, if there is anyone who is in the attendees, if you wish to speak before the executive committee, please use the raise hand function and we will create a speakers list and you'll be promoted.
I'm getting notices that people can't get into the meeting, including Alicia Boyd. Just sent me a note. Can't get in. People can't get into the meeting or being let in.
Did she try to get in from the website, Ms. Westerdahl?
Not certain.
Because other people are in the meeting. All right. Are you going to take a speakers list?
Yes. Who do we have?
All right. So Jay Sorid.
Okay.
A number ending in 3912.
3912.
Those are the only hands that were raised for that.
Okay, at this time, if you could please promote those two and we will take their commentary first.
I believe Mr. Sorid's available. Yeah, there he is.
Okay.
Great. Hello, Fred. Hello, Mr. Chair. I had a question on whether the June meeting has to be in person because the bylaws refer to a signed paper ballot. In 6.2b on page 4, it says that the election of an officer shall be by a majority vote of members present and by a signed paper ballot. So does the signed paper ballot mean that we have to meet in person? Because I know there was all those, the laws, the emergency laws and everything go to whether you have to actually meet in person or it's optional. But the signed ballot seems that you have to be there in person because the rest of 6.2b says that if a candidate does not receive a majority of vote, runoff election shall be held immediately at the same meeting. So I pose that question to you. Does it need to be in person because of the signed ballot vote? Also, there's precedent on the board that there was an in-person meeting. The housing committee, the Brooklyn Community Board 9 Housing Committee, had a in-person meeting. It was a joint fair at Erasmus High School. So this was at January 28th, a joint housing fair. So there was precedent where the board did something in person, and it could be a fun idea where in June people could go in person and be in front of the crowd, say what the different issues are. And I just wanted to also just quickly mention, if the issues can come out where either by a sign, like a piece of paper saying, this is where the different candidates stand, like where are the issues, And if that could be posted online and maybe even like a debate or like a candidates forum, where before people vote, there's a forum where people say, this is how I am on the various different issues, Vital Brooklyn, all the different issues up and down the board. Great, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Story. A couple of those items I will be addressing as part of my chair's report. So I will have additional information that'll be provided. Okay, and Dante, the next speaker is?
The number ending in 3912. They should be able to, I'm asking them to unmute. All right, they're not unmuting.
I'm trying to unmute. Am I?
Okay, we can hear you now.
Okay, thank you. I'm Jill McManus. I'm New Yorkers for Wired Tech. Is this the moment for public comment?
Yes.
I wanted to say, I know you had 14 polls scheduled for your, and I have seen, there's supposed to be a moratorium right now from the, sent by the FCC to City Bridge because they have not obeyed the NEPA and the National Park Preservation Act reviews. Now, any more construction of any Link 5G poles or the big poles, those forms have been reviewed and completed. I think you might be aware of this. I think it might have been your meetings before, but this letter came 2 weeks ago. So if you notice any construction of, please report it to your council and your.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Ms. McManus, your microphone keeps.
I'm here. My voice comes and goes. I'm sorry. I've been a croak. Anyway, it's very important that if you see any construction actively on one of these big poles, Link 5G, report it to your local legislators. They are not supposed to be doing any further building until they complete these reviews for the National Environmental Protection Act and the National Historic Preservation Act. So we're waiting to see whether the City Bridge builders and the other builders apply. Meanwhile, stand our ground if you don't want to see these poles put up next to your residential buildings and people's bedrooms, etc. There are some 2,000 scheduled for this part of their program, and 4,000 more, and eventually up to 7,500 of these poles around the city. So I know that you probably don't like the look of them, and you might want to look into the health effects of this constant 24/7 radiation emissions. Actually, when the pole, if you see one, you'll see that they're often 10 or 12 feet from a kid's bedroom on the third floor, second or third floor. And you do not want to be that family down the street from that pole. So that's basically all I wanted to say. I wanted you to be aware that there is supposed to be a moratorium right now until those reviews are done. We don't know how long that would take. Franchise pole project is going to collapse. So there are now 15 community boards around the city that have voted for either disapproval of the poles or. Thanks for letting me speak.
Oh, Alicia's the 718 number. Could somebody promote her, please? Thank you.
Fred, you're on mute.
Yeah,
I think I see Ms. Boyd twice. I think I see her on there, but then I see a 718 number. Which one is she?
I see Alicia.
She's texting me. She's the 718 number, and to please promote her.
All right. Well, she's been promoted. Let's see if she's able to do it from that one. And if not, we'll promote the 718 number. Well, I guess they're both in.
Thank you.
I'm not sure what happened, but you seem to either have a problem with their sign in, because every time I was trying to sign in, I could not sign in with that requirement to put an email address. So I would appreciate if you would look into that, because I almost missed this meeting and the ability to be able to speak. I have several concerns that I'm bringing to the executive board. The first one, I just want to say that I attended both the ULUP committee and the Environmental Protection Committee, who had 3-hour meetings, the subcommittee for the ULUP and a 3-hour meeting for the EPA. And both came out with very strong resolutions. One was to ask for an environmental impact study on the text amendments, and the other one was to ask for a moratorium. I hope that this committee will support those two resolutions and not do anything to diminish their power. Hopefully everyone got a copy of all of the 121 5G tower locations that are being proposed, have been installed or approved in our community. So there is a massive amount of these poles being proposed. And as the FOIL had already indicated, the community was never notified, the community never had opportunity to oppose, the board and the community was never educated on this issue. And so while this committee, the executive committee and the general board did not vote on this issue last month to put a moratorium, more of these 5G towers have been installed and activated. So we need to do this immediately and not continue to delay. The last thing is, at the last ULUP committee, your vice chair came to the ULUP committee and he was very drunk. He made aggressive behaviors and accusations against myself and Michael Hollingsworth. It's all on the recording of the ULUP committee. He literally was slurring his words. He was visibly drunk and he was drinking. You can see he saluted with his glass, drinking. And this is very inappropriate behavior for a public official, which is, you guys are public officials, to do something like that at a meeting. And it was because we were asking questions of a guest who was seeking approval for a project that's happening in CB9. You're welcome. I will be sending out a more detailed email. I will be sending out a more detailed email where you can look at the links and see the video and you can see Warren Burke's behavior. And lastly, I want to say—
Ms. Boyd, I'm sorry, but your time has expired at this
there's
point.
accusations of sexual harassment that's being made against Warren Burke for taking photographs.
Ms. Boyd,
people in the audience.
your time has expired.
I understand that. I am letting the board know.
Thank you very much.
I'm letting the board know about
Ms.
these
Boyd,
accusations
your time has expired.
and asking you to about this.
Your time is, please remove her back to the panel. Thank you, Ms. Boyd. If you have any additional information, send it to the board. Your time has expired. All right, Dante, who else do we have for public commentary?
The only other hand raised is Suki's.
Okay, Suki, you have the floor.
Hi, I'm just going to speak very quickly because I think Pat, the ULURP chair, will speak about this more later. But regarding our resolution to ask the Department of City Planning for a full environmental impact statement, as opposed to the environmental assessment statement, which they came out with as being negative or no impact on zoning for zero carbon. It's similar issues to the 5G towers, which are 30 feet tall in front of people's apartment buildings. They want to do wind turbines up to 50 feet tall in residential areas and 85 feet tall in on somewhere like Empire Boulevard. They're talking about battery storage, like grid scale lithium ion battery storage on residential rooftops. As of right, with no review, they're also talking about batteries and mechanicals 40 to 50 feet high on rooftops. So it's these very similar issues with the scale of these mechanical installations and the placement as of right in residential areas without any type of community review. So that's all I wanted to say.
Okay, thank you for the comment. All right, are there any other comments or public commentary at this time? Okay, seeing none, I think that there are a number of the comments that were made. I think some of them will be addressed through the committee reports that we'll be hearing from the chair shortly. And there are a couple of points that I'll probably be addressing as well during my chairman's report. And very likely as well, there might be some that is also actually discussed as part of the district manager's report. But I do thank everyone for the commentary for the executive committee this evening. And absolutely, if there's any additional information you'd like to provide, please feel free to send that to the board, and it'll be disseminated as appropriate as well. Okay, we are now going to move on in the agenda. We are going to go to the committee chair check-ins. All right, let us start with Ms. Moses, usually you're the last. You want to go first today?
Oh, well, thank you. Good evening, everyone. I'm only going to be like a few minutes. I just wanted to say that our meeting was held on May 9th. And our minutes have been submitted. And as Suki said, the resolution has been submitted to you, Fred, so that it could be brought in front of the board. We also attached them to our minutes so that at the next board meeting that the entire board, if the executive brings it forward, can vote, will know what they're voting on. So we hope that everyone takes a look at that. Also on June 13th, there's going to be a presentation by the city planning on the city of Yes. And so again, we're asking the board members to try and make that meeting. It is really, really important. And also that information goes out to the community. And that would be our last meeting. So we're trying to really get everything on board so that, we break for the summer. But I think these are very, very important. And I think that especially the chairs, really need to know what's going on. Thank you. Questions?
Thank you very much. Are there any questions for the ULURP chair? Actually, if I can ask, Dante, was the resolution forwarded out to the executive committee?
I don't believe so, but we can forward it out. Give me a short
Yeah, it was forwarded to you, Fred. You have it?
I may have it. I know I saw
Oh.
it. I wasn't sure if it was out as part of the executive committee materials. Only because it is an item that we will have to consider.
Right.
I'll tell you what. Well, Dante, if you can get that material and forward it out. So when we get to the action items, we have that as an action item. We'll read it out and we'll have a conversation. We'll have discussion on that.
Okay.
Okay. So we'll cover that, Ms. Moses. So
Okay, thank you.
all right. As we're waiting for that, are there any questions for the ULURP chair at this time? You can take a couple of questions. Ms. Newsom, I'm going to take a speaker's list first. Ms. Newsom, I see your hand. And anyone else? And Primo, I see you as well. Okay. Go ahead, Ms. Newsom. You have the floor.
Patricia,
Yeah.
the way, hi, Patricia, how are you?
Hi.
Patricia, the timeline that the mayor had on the city of Yes, the part that's our part, it falls in the summer when the board is off. Have we been able to change that, or has there been a proposal to change that?
No, actually yours follow, we'll be back when yours start because right now, the one that's up now
Right.
ends, I think, okay, in July, is when all of the people from the community can all, put in, opposition or they approve or not approve. But at the end of the day, that ends in October. So yours. would
Are
be
you sure? Because when we saw him do, and this is not me,
Uh-huh.
because the last presentation I saw, it was scheduled to end after the board was closed. So you're saying now our turn is in,
Well, that's
July is after the board is closed, Patricia?
right. What I'm saying is that when they started, what I was looking at, and I went online and I saw that yours basically didn't start until like, I think it was like October or something, but I can
Oh, okay.
recheck that.
I'm sorry, Patricia. Okay.
But I think if you Google, you'll see how the whole lineup is. Because right now we still are going to, I think the final vote for the one that we're on now is going to be sometime, I don't know, September, early October. Suki, Suki can correct me if I'm wrong.
Pat is correct that the zoning for housing opportunity is likely not going to start until 2024. The part that we're talking about now, which is zoning for zero carbon, our review, the community board review period technically ends July 3rd. But one of the reasons we wanted to ask for a fuller EIS was to give community boards more time to review the issue, which in order for them to do an EIS, they would have to hold additional public hearings and so on. And one of the city planning commissioners was actually saying that she thought that the 60 days they were giving us was not sufficient because a lot of community boards have not started to review this yet. So it's definitely a concern, and we're hoping that if we get enough people to push for an EIS and for more review time, that the commissioners can choose to vote on it at a later date. It's not a ULURP process, so the 60-day period is not a hard cutoff. The commissioners can choose when they want to vote.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, and we'll make sure we confirm all those dates, and we'll make sure that that's publicized as well, and any hearings as appropriate are scheduled. Primo.
Thanks so much. Hi, Patricia.
Hi.
Chair Moses, I have been hearing a little bit about a potential rezoning coming out of Councilmember Hudson's office. I just wanted to get a sense of if that had crossed your desk and if you had any information on that for us.
When you say rezoning of where, of what?
Rezoning of the entire district, actually. So similar to the work that's happening at Atlantic. I haven't seen any news about this, but I've heard whispers about it. I wish I had done more homework before we got in here, but I realized I figured I would just ask you if you had heard about it.
I know, but I guess I can Google it, huh? I haven't heard of it.
Yeah.
You say the entire district?
The
No.
entire district. I'll Google it too, and I'll see if I hear anything about this.
Great.
I'll send
Good.
some stuff your way if I come up with anything.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Okay, thank you very much for that.
Thank you.
Okay, and as long as Primo is up, his mic, I know his mic is on. Yes, public safety.
Yeah, great. I'm gonna take a little bit of time, y'all. I got some stuff for you, so I'll try to make it as brief as possible. Essentially, we didn't have quorum at our last meeting. I think a combination of folks rolling off, as well as some folks who just didn't make it to the committee meeting. So that's unfortunate. I hate to waste y'all's time with this, but we have 3 SLA applications. I think 2 of them are very easy. I think one of them is a little bit longer of a conversation. And then also want to flag for everybody here that we have our first OCM application. The short version of it is that we are not ready to kind of properly process this application at the moment because our committee hasn't finalized, along with the larger community board, our questionnaire for applicants. We're close. We've been working on it for a few months. We just want to make sure that we get it right before we bring it to the larger board. We explain that to the applicant, and I think more widely. We just want to make sure that we're getting everything right with this process. And so we've asked them to come back again next month. Hopefully we'll be ready for them by next month. So I'm going to dig into the SLA applications unless there are questions on OCM. I see
That's
a,
a-
see a
Yeah,
hand
I
up.
see Mina, and I do have a question as
Hand up
well.
from Mina. You were first, so go for it, and then Suki.
Oh,
The audio is a little garbled.
I'm sorry, what does OCM?
Oh, sorry, it's the Office of Cannabis Management. Yep. Good question. I'm sorry that I'm speaking in code. So Office of Cannabis Management, we have our first application for a dispensary in the neighborhood, to be clear to everybody. Suki.
Who is the applicant for the dispensary license? Because this issue has really been blowing up in my neighborhood. People are really up in arms.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I guess you'll find out the name eventually. It's a business called Flatbush Exotic. It's actually an existing business that is currently like has a hemp license and is operating out of the same location on Flatbush Avenue. So they're basically taking their business to the next level as a dispensary, but they're already in business with they're already licensed by the Office of Cannabis Management.
Okay.
As a what?
As a they have two licenses. One is as like a hemp dispensary or something, and the other one might be, I don't want to speculate as to what the second license is.
Where did they submit copies of the hemp dispensary license to you? Can we get copies of that?
Sure. I'll talk to the board office about what kind of information from an application is supposed to get circulated, but I do have them in my inbox. So I'll defer to Fred and on kind of like what information from an application is supposed to be circulated, but yes, I would imagine that there's no harm in circulating this.
Yeah, if we can check, only because we're kind of in brand new territory with respect to this entire thing. The only question I guess I have, and if you have the answer, is there a time frame in terms of which we're supposed to consider these applications, and then it goes on to the next level?
There's not OCM hasn't given us a deadline, no.
Okay. All right, that's good then. Okay, so we'll come back next. So I'm sure that the committee will continue its work, and we'll come back next month with that.
The applicant was very understanding of the scenario.
Okay. Okay, Ms. Moses.
From Pat, but yeah, sorry. Go ahead, Fred.
Yeah, no. Okay, Ms. Moses, we'll take your question, but then we're gonna have to move on. Go ahead.
Well, no, I just wanted to make a statement in reference to that. They've been there for a while. I don't know what else is new, but I don't know if they were legal or illegal, but they've been there for months. I've seen them there for months. That's over where I live at.
Yes, and they do, to be clear, they do have a legal license for, I'm looking at it now, for cannabinoid hemp retail license.
Right, they've been there a long time.
A cannabinoid hemp distributor permit. So they are licensed to be doing what they are doing there, and they are both of those licenses come from the Office of Cannabis Management. They're now applying for a license to become a dispensary.
Okay. All right. Thank you. All right. Oh, I'm sorry, Primo. Go ahead. You said so. You have those three applications yet?
Yes. So 3 applications. So first one that I'll bring up for you is a business called La Estrella. It's La Nueva Estrella de Castillo. This is a renewal license. I think it's a pretty easy one. It's somebody who's applying for a full license. It's at sorry, let me pull up the address. It's 948 Nostrand Avenue. Yep,
Yeah.
yep, you know it. Lots of folks in the community know it. The owner came, she was lovely. She talked about kind of her experience in the community. It's a Crown and Montgomery, essentially in Nostrand, or Nostrand between Crown and Montgomery. And then their hours are going from 8 a.m. to 10:30 p.m. Monday through Thursday. Friday and Saturday, they're open till 1 a.m. and then on Sunday, open until 11 p.m. It's just like a Spanish food and Caribbean food restaurant. They've had this license again in the past and are just applying for a straight up renewal. I see no issues here personally. So I'll pause to see if anybody has questions about this particular license.
All right, we will take questions. Are there any questions with respect to this license? And this is just for just make sure we're all clear. This is a renewal, correct?
It's a renewal, correct?
Is it a full license or?
It is a full license.
Okay. And there are no issues with fire or police, correct?
No.
Okay. All right. Are there any other questions for the chair with respect to that first application?
Oh, I'm sorry. One correction. It's wine, beer, and cider, not a full license wine, beer, and cider.
Wine, beer, and cider. Okay, thank you.
I'm sorry, what is the location?
948 Nostrand Avenue, which is between Crown and Montgomery.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Okay. Seeing none others, please continue.
Great. Second application is an interesting one, not that interesting. So basically, you know how the folks from Gruett came last month?
Mhm.
Ownership is changing. The restaurant is being sold to another owner, essentially. They are just submitting the same exact application that we just approved under somebody else's name. So in the interest of not rehashing too many details here, it's a business that is on Empire Boulevard. It's like a beer garden / restaurant. They are open only Monday through Thursday, 5 p.m. to 11 p.m., 11:30 p.m. Friday and Saturday they're closed. Sunday, same hours as Monday through Thursday. Got some indoor tables, got some outdoor tables, not playing any live music. This technically is a new application, but in reality, in practice, it's a renewal of literally what we approved last month. It's a full liquor license, just like the one that we approved last month. So, yep, Beverly.
Primo,
Hi.
hi Primo. This is the same restaurant that sits in the place of Toomey's, right?
Correct. Is that,
Okay.
yeah.
I first of all, the fact that it's being sold 30 days from when they got their liquor license raises my antenna, but there's nothing I can do about that. Thank you.
I understand. My antenna also went up, and then I said, hey, who knows if this deal was going to close, but yeah, I mean,
Right, because they had to know they were selling it when they got the
they
liquor
had to know
license.
they were selling it, but if anything,
Exactly.
that reflects on the former owner rather than the current owner,
Yeah, all right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, Beverly. I see Teresa with a hand raised as well, and then Fred.
Hi, I'm just wondering, that's very close to where I live, and the new owner, because I know there was some discussion regarding the ownership, the previous ownership, there was a partnership between two people. And one man, the man who appeared before us, I don't remember his name, was taking over. And is it a brand new owner, or is it that other second owner? What's the person's name? It would be good to know.
It is not the second owner. Yeah, let me pull up the new owner's name. Although it looks like it's actually being listed under an LLC, but okay, here it is. Abraham Scheinfeld. I don't know if you know.
Did he I went
No,
to the
this
safety
is
meeting, but
somebody completely new from the business as it was previously, so it's neither of the previous co-owners.
Did he come to the meeting, he or she?
He came to the Public Safety Committee meeting.
Yeah, I went, but I came in late, so I didn't get to hear them speak. Okay, well, I'd be interested to know. I mean, everything's been fine with that business this whole time, so it would be good to know who the new person is. Are they gonna come to the, they're gonna come to the community board?
They will come to the general board meeting if we approve this and send it along to the general board meeting.
Okay,
That's the instruction
Thanks.
I give to every applicant is the owner has to come. Yep.
all right, thank you.
Thank you, Fred.
Yeah, along those lines, I think that's my only concern. I mean, I think with when we did the previous one, it was renewals, so we know them, they have a history.
Sure.
The new owner, I'm not so certain. I mean, the new owner, I'm not, prejudging and saying that, okay, well, that, but I think that there might be some questions with respect to the new owner. What businesses have they run before? Do they have any other history in terms of other businesses they've operated similar to that one as well? Just so that way the board can kind of have a sense of that in terms of as we're approving the new ones. So I'm not sure if they're going to be in communication, but just to let them know, be prepared to have that kind of information or answer those kinds of questions for the board at the board meeting should we decide to make it proceed.
Sounds good. You don't want to catch them off guard?
Yeah, maybe actually don't do it. Don't do it.
Yeah.
We'll
I'll
pound.
walk the line between the two. I'll make
There we
sure
go.
they're there, but I
Perfect.
won't cover them with questions in advance. Thanks, Fred, Teresa, totally understood and agreed. Let's get to know the new ownership, but understand that the details of the application are the same.
Okay. And you said you had a third application?
I have a third. Thank you everyone for your patience. I'm trying to move this as quickly as possible. So our third application is at 429 Rogers Avenue. Folks are probably familiar with that location because it is the former location of Gold Room. Gold Room was kind of an installation on Nostrand Avenue, Rogers Avenue. It has moved further south. Essentially, they've opened a new business further south on Rogers Avenue. But the old location has now been taken over by new ownership, which is the name is GRBD Incorporated. It is a partnership between three people who have a former history in the restaurant ownership management industry. And they also brought their representative to the meeting. So we got to meet all four people involved in this application. I think, these are bar owners, managers, and this is a former bar location. I want to note some small differences between Gold Room and GRBD. So for one thing, Gold Room used to have live music. It was approved on their application. I went and took a look back at the Gold Room application. There was live music that they were intending. This location is not intending to have live music. Another piece is they are going to have security on the application for Friday and Saturday from 7 p.m. until close, which I know is a concern that has been raised in the past with locations, especially places that are primarily bars. Their hours of operation are late. So Monday through Thursday, 12 p.m. to 3 a.m., Friday and Saturday until 4 a.m., and then on Sunday until 3 a.m. It's a slight deviation from the Gold Room's hours, which were an hour earlier. But let's also note that application was submitted and approved kind of at the height of the pandemic. So that's some information for you. It's a full license. This place is indoors with some, so if you've been by Gold Room, I think they have some tables right outside the restaurant. But that's the score for this particular location. New application, new ownership in the Gold Room space.
And you said this is a full license?
This is a full license.
Thank you. All right. Are there any questions with respect to this application? Okay, hold on. It's just a quick speaker. So hold on. Mrs. Westerlo, I see you. Kyrie, I see you as well. Anyone else? I'm not seeing anyone else. Okay, Ms.
You're on mute, Teresa.
Are there any complaints attached with this spot? I just know it's been loud, like loud.
A
So,
good question.
and that is a semi-residential neighborhood, so. Yeah,
Yeah, it's a good question to ask about the location in the past, but I'd also note that we're talking about different business owners and a different sound permission as well, because they're not playing live music. But we can ask the question. I just don't know that the information is actually fair to present, given that they're not the current owners nor the current applicants. Dante, I don't know if you're here, if you wouldn't just mind noting that for us, for Mia, to take a look into.
Will do that. Will do.
Thank you, appreciate it. Kyrie, you had a hand up and then a hand down, but.
Oh, yeah. Oh, hi. So, yeah, I just wanted, well, hi, everyone. I just was going to ask a piggyback question similar to like Teresa's question. So I understand there's new ownership and yes, it's not live music anymore, but the hours of operation, I know that you said they said on the weekends, was it from 7 to 3 and then 7 to 4, they'll have security, but it sounds as, or is it 7 p.m. every day because they have it operating until 3 a.m. every day?
The security is Friday and Saturday from 7 p.m. to close.
Okay, so that's where I would say we would have to have security all of those times, especially from 7 to 3 a.m., 7 p.m. to 3 a.m., especially because that is a residential area and there have been numerous complaints about that. And maybe for the weekend, like we've done with other restaurants, but this seems as though it's a restaurant / club, is that we could suggest maybe closing at 2 a.m. or an earlier time on Monday through Thursday or Wednesdays, as opposed to 3 a.m. and 4 a.m. every day.
You know
No,
me, I did suggest that in the committee meeting.
Yeah, and I wasn't there for that one.
Yeah, I gave them the option of resubmitting and they opted not to. And ultimately I said, totally up to you. Just letting you know that in the past 4 a.m. hours, can be a point of contention for in the general board meeting. So they're aware kind of the context. Ultimately, it's their choice, but did make that recommendation. Yes.
Of course. All right. Thank you. That was all I had to say.
Thanks.
Oh,
guys.
and definitely the security. So if we're going to be operating until 3 a.m., not just on Friday and Saturday, we're in Brooklyn, New York. Everybody's out every day. If they're known to be the spot that extends past midnight, then there needs to be security every time that they operate past that point, is my suggestion. Thank you.
Understood. Thanks. Any other questions? No, looking good. Okay. I would say that with all three of these applications, one more thing to note, just as the GRBD intends to hire locally as well. And when we kind of went further down that rabbit hole, they asked us for the ability to post their job on our website. And they also, we expressed to them that there's an accountability measure when they reapply in 2 years if they have not followed through on the promise to hire locally. So another common thread with me and Kyrie. So naming those things, I'd say, given that I'm kind of like the only person to make a recommendation on this, I would recommend that we put all three through to be voted on at the general board meeting. I think that I have made the recommendation of the hours adjustment. Kyrie didn't make the recommendation on security personnel, but I think it could be a conversation that we have with the ownership at the general board meeting. I don't know that it needs to go back to committee. So that's where I stand on these applications personally, or as the chair of the committee.
Okay, all right, so thank you for those recommendations. So when we get to the agenda setting, so I guess we'll vote on whether we want those, we're comfortable with letting those proceed to the full board. And I think if there was any information or any of those things, we can take care of those administratively before the next meeting as well. But we'll consider those items. I have those as items for us to consider as we set the agenda.
Yeah.
But
You want me to give a nominations committee update while I'm talking, or you want to, am I later on the agenda?
You're in my head, sir. Go for it.
Right on. Great. So nominations committee work is going well. Got a great committee of myself and 4 other folks. Yeah, Omari Scott, Janelle Basil Charles, John Wolfling, and Felice Robertson. Thank you. So the committee has gotten right into work. We've been coordinating with Dante and the board office, who have been great partners in this work, who have provided us with a contact list. We have decided to email every single member of the board. We are also making calls. Actually, all of our calls are complete as of today. And we have seven folks who have raised their hand for spots. We're going for 7 positions across the board. And we are going to continue to receive information over the course of the next week. Our committee is going to meet again on Monday, May 22nd. We are then going to present the information of who has presented themselves for candidacy at our general board meeting on May 23rd. So everything's going smoothly. I wouldn't say that there are any problems, but I would pause and see if there are any questions. Francisca, you are off mute. I don't know if you have a question, but oh, there you go. Chair Moses.
Yes. Are they gonna submit a bio so that, because we have new members?
Mm-hmm. Yep, we're asking everybody for a bio, but the election itself happens on June 23rd, so it's more just that we're just gonna name the names on May 23rd, and then we're gonna give folks a month to get ready for presenting their bios at the actual election.
The bios at the actual, so we could only read it at the actual election?
If your suggestion is that we collect them for what we can do is we can commit to, if this is helpful, we can collect them, let's say a week before the actual election and circulate those a week in advance of the election. It wouldn't make sense for us to do it before the 23rd, because on the 23rd, there will be an open call for folks to nominate themselves at the meeting. So it wouldn't, I think, be equitable for us to present bios before the 23rd, but we can do so a week before the election in June. Is that satisfactory?
Yes, what I'm saying is it's very important that we get that information before we meet. We don't want, we've been through that before. We got a complete shutdown before of everybody that was being elected. So
not when I ran the nominations.
no, I'm just telling you, like, we need that, because at the end of the day, if we don't know as board members, and remember, you have new people. So we don't know anything about them, we don't want to vote for them.
New people can't run. You have to have served at least a year on the board. So I just want to call that out.
No, I'm saying new people will be voting, so therefore they can read a resume.
Great
and
point.
I just think it's extremely important that people put their resume out there.
Great point. And your point is well taken, and I'll make sure does a week feel like a fair amount of time?
Yeah, I can read it within a week.
Great. Okay, so a week. Thank you for making that point. Very, very helpful. I see that Ms. Leopold has her hand raised, and then Kyrie.
Yes. I'm sorry, before you start, Fran, if I could just make a call, if there's anyone else, if you have a question, please raise your hand now, because we do need to move on. So I just want to make sure, if you have a question for the nomination, with regards to nominations, please raise your hand now. We're going to close the list. Okay, I'm sorry, Fran, please go ahead. You have the floor.
Yeah, this nomination, this committee, is that for the officers for the full board?
That's correct. The 7 positions from chair through member at large.
Okay, that's one, because I know I heard you say that the calls are going on smoothly, and you have 7 persons on, because I know one never called me. I never received a call from anyone.
Okay, I'll take a look. All of our calls are complete. Maybe it was a missed call, maybe you're on the subway, something like that. But the email went out to every single member of the board as well. We couldn't reach everybody, but we tried to reach everybody.
Okay, because I've never got any call, and then I'm hearing about.
I'm gonna call you tonight.
Initially, we did ask persons to send a bio, but now I'm hearing a bio and resume.
We offered 3 different modalities. It could be a bio, it could be a resume, it could be a LinkedIn link.
Okay. Yeah, because I was really thinking last week, I said, wow, I haven't, I was gonna ask a question concerning that, because I didn't hear nothing concerning, any calls or anything, because usually if someone called, they would leave a message, and then, you would call back, but I didn't see anything at all. So, okay, thank you.
Sure, absolutely.
And if I could just make one quick point, and we'll make sure that the district office sends a reminder email. So, just in case there's anybody who missed the first one, so that way they can remember if they wish to nominate themselves, they can do that. But again, as the chair had stated, there will be an opportunity to meet at the meeting as well, the general board meeting in May. I'm sorry, go ahead. Kyrie, yes, I think you had your hand up.
Yes, hey, so, yes, thank you. I actually did see the draft of the email come out. Me too with the calls, but I know that the emails definitely came out. I got a call. Oh, sorry, Nicholas. Okay, my apologies. So, hi,
What's going on, Christian?
hi, how are you?
What's up?
Zoom bomber.
That's fun. We got a little Zoom bomber. Kyrie, we did try to reach you. Janelle Basil Charles called you. And she just wasn't able to reach you.
Okay, no worries. I got the email. That's the actual, it looks like the email draft that I sent out last year, nominations, when I was doing the chair for nominations. So I definitely got the email. Two things I would like to suggest. From doing the nominations committee last year, when we never got as much time, we did it all in a week and we were able to contact everyone via phone and email. The fact that we're able to do it now and have so much ample time, I would suggest that on May 23rd, at our general board meeting, that as whomever else offers or steps up or promotes themselves to run, by the end of that week, everybody's bios, resumes, and links should be shared and disseminated with the rest of the board, because there are new members. I don't believe a week isn't enough sufficient time for everyone to review everything, especially if the election is going to be held the following month in June 23rd. I don't think that it was good when information has been disseminated in the past, very important, pertinent information like this, because we're making elections. So maybe we can have that sent out by Friday, the Friday following next week's meeting. Or if not that, definitely by the first week of June, and at least give 3 weeks for everyone to review whomever is going to be nominating or nominated.
I will bring your suggestion to the nominations committee when we meet next Monday. For sure.
Yes. So that's my suggestion with the nominations. Thank you.
Thank you, Kyrie.
Okay, thank you very much. I see the Zoom bombers have their hand up.
Yeah.
That'd be you, Mr. Allenor.
Want to say hi? They're probably chopping it up over there.
Okay.
They're not paying attention to us. All right. That's it for me at the nominations committee. Thank you everyone for your feedback, for your engagement. Everybody's and thank you to the 7 members of our board who have already raised their hands. We've only been doing this work since yesterday, in terms of making calls. Francisca, I just want to let you know, I stand corrected. A call was not made to you. There are 10 calls that have not been made yet. I gave folks until this Friday to make calls. And so want to just name that.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you very much for that. Okay, so we are now going to move on. I do see, well, actually, Fran, as long as we got you, do you have a report for Health and Social Services?
Yes, sir. Okay, good evening, everyone. Good evening, good evening. I'm so sorry. I'm in another meeting as well. I'm doing 2 meetings at the same time. I have nothing coming up, but I just want to thank those persons who attended the mental health forum. It was really a great forum. Those persons who were there, they will attest to that. And we had about 20, almost 30 persons, and we would have much more than that, but Mia was really controlling, because the, how do you call it, Zoom bomb, the forum, the meeting. And so we had, so twice they came in, so we had to limit people. So a lot of persons were coming in, and persons that we were not able to identify who they were. And some persons at one point, one person came in with a name and then changed their name to, they had a name Chantel, and then they changed their name to Mr. Purity, and then I'll open up with the, the explicit stuff. So it was getting terrible. So then we had to, persons who were waiting to come in, they wouldn't allow in, and person called me after. At one point, I had to call a number who just kept trying to come in, and eventually it was Arna Lipkin who was trying to come in, and then I had to, allow her in. But there were other persons who contacted me and told me, I was trying to get in and I couldn't. So, but other than that, it was good, and I'm looking forward to us bringing much awareness on mental health condition to the community, because it's much needed. And I think just at one time it's not enough, and hoping that persons would understand the need of the awareness, and persons who came, they said, well, they were so happy that they differentiate between the two, the mental health, I don't remember the two areas, so I don't want to mess it up, but then persons were very much happy with the information that was given. We had a speaker from Interfaith and one from Kings County Hospital, and the information they given was timely and it was well received. So we're looking to most likely, since it's virtual, have one later on in the fall. So all those of you members who attended, thank you so much for the support.
Okay, thank you very much, Madam Chair. Are there any questions for Health and Social Services? Okay, hearing none. And again, thanks to you and your committee for throwing on a phenomenal event, as per your usual. Okay, we're going to move on. I do see the Chair of Environmental Protection. Mrs. Timothy, you have your report?
Hello, good evening. Thank you. Yes, we met on May 4th. Thanks. I want to thank Dante for, not Dante, but Khalid for taking our minutes, which he did submit to me, and I will be reviewing and submitting it back to the board shortly. We had a discussion, and of course, Chair, you were there, on the 5G topic, which I hope that, we can move forward at some point. I do recommend that there be a presentation for board members so that they can become acclimated to all of the issues that and concerns that people may have out there in the community. If we can bring in the folks from OTI, Lincoln YC, or City Bridge, it will be good. So that way, they can ask the questions based on the information that, is provided by these people. And we can then, move on to provide community input, which I think would be a good thing. And hopefully we can, move forward in that in a good way. So that is all I have for my committee report. Thank you.
I always mute myself. Thank you very much for that report. Now I understand there is one action item from that where there's a resolution that you're looking to be passed on to the full board for consideration, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Dante, was that resolution forwarded to the exec?
We got the City of Yes one. Let me get this one.
Fred, you didn't call on me.
For a report or?
For a report.
Sure, no, hold on. I mean, we're finishing up with EP right now. So hold on one second.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely. All right. Okay, if we can you get that out to the exec, because I think it's going to be important for them to see the text, and perhaps we can go over it very quickly as well, so that way, more any questions we can ask.
Debbie, you have the text. Could you just send it to me?
I believe that the information was on the April, attached to the April minutes as well.
Okay.
It was.
Yes, so everyone should have received it then.
It's true. I just want to make sure that the resolution brought up.
All right. So Dante, do you have that? Can you forward
I'm
that?
gonna have to track it down because I can tell you I don't have it in my inbox. So I might have to disturb Ms. Hilton. Just give me a second and continue to move on. Thank you.
Hold on. Okay. I may have I'll tell you what, only because I think it's important that we see the text as well. I may have it. I'll see if I can forward it to you right now. Would you be able to put it up at the appropriate time, just so that we can see the resolutions?
Yeah.
You'd be able to do that?
Yeah, this season.
Okay, hold on a second. Okay, are there any questions while I'm doing this? Are there any other questions for the Environmental Protection Chair? Okay, seeing
I just
none.
want to make sure that when are we gonna talk about the resolution?
When we
the
get to
moratorium?
when we get to the business session where we're going to discuss the items. So right now we're working on getting that to the execs so that way they can see it. So it will be posted up, it'll be put up, and if there are any questions additionally, we'll be able to do that.
Yeah, just to be sure, it definitely was sent out with
Okay,
the
no, no,
April,
we have it.
with the April notes. Everybody got it. Everybody
No.
on the whole board should already have it.
Right, but the whole board isn't here. It's the exec right now. I just need to make sure they have it so that way they can consider and ask any questions necessary this evening.
Okay, so are you sending it again to everyone now on the executive board, Fred?
Trying to see if I could at least get it to Dante so that way he can post it, and we'll make sure that is disseminated to everyone.
Well, if you're gonna send it to Dante, might I add, and to post it, he has all of our emails. We could just send it directly to us as well.
And
Possibly.
he can. I'm just trying to send it to him. He can handle that on his end. I'm trying to run a meeting. Hold on.
Thank you, Fred.
Absolutely. Okay.
Mr. Chair, is it okay if I ask a question pertaining to this?
Absolutely.
Because
Go ahead.
I'm just a little, and others, please forgive me because I'm in 2 meetings at the same time. I have to be on both of them. Based on the issue at hand, isn't it an issue that should be coming from the committee chair? Because I realize, and Ms. Teresa is the one who's been presenting it. And since there is a chair from the committee, isn't this something that the committee chair should be presenting for discussion and the voting and everything?
Well, I mean, right now we're getting the text so that way we'll be able to have a discussion. The chair can comment on that as necessary. Dante, just confirming, I sent it to you, so you should have it if you're able to disseminate. And at the very least, if you can, at the appropriate time, if you can actually put it up on the screen.
Okay.
To second vice chair's point, there will be comments. We'll be able to ask questions on that very shortly when we get to that portion of the meeting. So we're going to get to that very quickly, very shortly.
Thank you.
Okay. Ms. Westall, did you have a question, or I see your hand? Did you have a question about that?
I just want to make sure it happens.
It's going to happen. It's an action item. We're gonna look at it.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Ms. Moses, and then we're gonna move on.
Yeah, I just want to say, I remember that it was brought up, and I do remember that it was sent back. It was sent back to the committee so that they could vote before it was brought forward, because it had not been brought forward by the chair.
Yes.
That's what I remember, and if you would go back and look at our minutes, so it wasn't supposed to come from Teresa, it was supposed to come forwarded from the chair. They were supposed to vote on it and then send it to.
Right. No. To be and to your
That's what
point.
was supposed to happen.
No. And to your point, and to be clear, the committee considered the resolution and voted to move the resolution forward. So that is why it's before the exec, and the exec will consider this evening whether we're going to push it to the full board. But it was voted on by the committee.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Okay, we're going to move on. Warren, I had you next on the list for economic development.
Hey, everybody. Economic Development did not have a meeting. And the reason for that is that 3 of our 4 members did not reapply to the board. But I do want to note that the service of these particular three members over the last 7 or 8 years have been substantial. Michael Labarde, who has been the ULIP chair and has been a very important factor in economic development, especially going back to the Armory. Real programs. Real has chaired a number of communities. He was the first to have a youth fair way back at Medgar Evers College, which was a youth fair for jobs. He continued to the Economic Development Committee, where he continued the Shop Local program, and Matthias Limburger, who also played an extremely important role with our youth. So while we did not have a meeting because of them not reapplying, they were three members of the committee. I do want to note their service. So thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for that. Okay, sorry, I'm going around, and please forgive me if I have skipped I am looking, I do not, oh, I'm sorry. Beverly, do you have any updates, anything you wanted to with respect to housing that you want to the board?
No.
Okay, that's fine. And transportation was postponed this month. This month's meeting was canceled as well. Okay, all right, and I apologize. No, I'm sorry, Ms. Almanor. I almost was going to go on. Ms. Almanor, are you there? Do you have a report for parks? Mr. Almanor, do you have a report for parks?
Yes, I do have a report for the Participation and Culture Committee. We met and we have one recommendation. We had a presentation from the community for a neighbor. They are planning to put one day exhibition at Parkside Plaza. They wanted our approval and our recommendation. The committee voted to recommend that. Recommended, so we will send you more information about that. And,
I don't know where you stand.
Hold on one second. Can everybody hear me?
No.
No.
All right. Yeah. Is it better?
Yeah, it sounds a little bit better now.
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay.
Better.
Yes, the committee met on the 11th. We had a presentation from a nonprofit organization called ENABE that does a lot of activities in terms of getting people together and doing a photo exhibit. So they wanted our approval and recommendation. So the committee voted to approve the project from ENABE. More information will be sent forward to the board in terms of what's going to happen. So that's probably what I wanted to report. And we basically talk about getting ready for the community fair. So you could watch our meeting on YouTube and if you have any questions. So I'll take any questions. So that's the extent of my report. I'm making it very short.
Okay. Okay, Kyrie, I do see your hand. Are there any other questions for the Parks and Recreation? I'm going to raise mine as well. Are there any other questions for Chair of Parks and Rec? Kyrie, are you there? I thought I saw his hand before.
Yeah, I just up from before just to say thank you to you all and Dante. The email has been sent, and I just want to tell everybody that if you read it over now, you'll have to. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that. Teresa, I see Suki, and then I see Teresa, and then I have one last question as well. Suki, go ahead, you have the floor.
I thought I heard you mention Parkside Plaza, but I couldn't hear it. Could you repeat whatever that was? And second, at our ULERP meeting, I briefly mentioned something I thought should be referred to parks. There is a huge ball field that used to be part of the old Boys and Girls High School near Albany Avenue and Rutland Road. it's still owned by the DOE and it's a large kind of open space, but it's not really open to the public. I get the impression it's like sometimes rented out for ball games or, you know, like
Glad to see
band
you.
practices.
COVID. Nice to see you. How are you? It's been a while.
Yeah, I'm sorry, go ahead, finish your question.
In consideration of the fact that there's a lot of development plan there, can we, around that area, can we look into opening that as or converting that into a park for the public?
There would have to be some, yeah, I would probably say it's best to probably communicate directly with the Parks, Recreation and Cultural Affairs chair with that suggestion, and they can take it up at their next meeting.
Got it. Okay.
Okay. All right. I think there's another piece. We'll come back in a second. Ms. Westerdahl, I see you.
I'm just wondering about the fair. Last year, we talked about it in our committee and we did a table. I'm wondering, we didn't talk about it in our committee and our EP, were we supposed to? And I'd just like to know more about what's going on. But I feel like last year there was a lot of information and this year I just know from what I've asked Dante correctly that I can be in the street with a tent, but I can't put it in a park. That's all I know.
Right. There'll be some additional information provided as part of the district manager's report, and I will touch on it a little bit as well as part of mine.
Is there going to be a meeting? Is there a committee for this? I think I missed out.
Right. No. Well, you know, we'll come back to that. The DM will a lot of those questions. You'll be able to ask additional questions at that time. So when the DM report,
I have one more question about housing. Housing hasn't met in a long time, and I did see Beverly, and then I saw it was canceled, and it's rescheduled for in a few days again. I saw on the calendar. No announcement went out to the board. I just noted it because I look at the calendar a lot. So
there's no housing meeting in the next few days, Teresa. We talked about that.
I thought I saw a new one on there though.
Well, it wasn't confirmed with me, so.
On the calendar?
I don't know.
Yeah, 5/18, there's a meeting for housing on the calendar. It's on the calendar. Is that not happening? I thought maybe it was an extra one we would have to talk about the things we talked about when I saw you, Beverly. I'm hoping.
There has been
and
a
I'm
meeting.
Working to put that together now. But you need contacts in order to do that, Teresa. No housing date has been confirmed by me.
Oh.
So if that's a housing meeting that's going to happen, it wasn't run by me.
Am I wrong? Is there a meeting on the calendar or not?
Is she wrong, Fred?
No, there is a meeting scheduled for this Thursday. There is a meeting scheduled.
For housing?
Yes.
Oh.
Okay, so I'm assuming that I'm not involved in that?
Call me.
What?
That's okay, Teresa. That's okay. So that means they're going to handle what you asked them to work on. You asked me to work on. No problem.
We're going to talk. So what's the meeting? Can I bring all that stuff up?
I'm assuming so, Teresa. You'll have to ask Fred. I'm not the person to ask.
All right. Nobody told me anything. I just saw it on the
No one told me
calendar.
anything either.
All right. That's a little weird. What's happening?
No, it's not.
Is it possible we can get an update from you, Mr. Chair? Thank you, with regards to that.
To the, you faded out. I didn't hear that last part.
He said in regards to the housing meeting, can he get an update from you?
There is a housing committee that is scheduled for Thursday. Tentatively, we have Utica Crescent, Empire State Development Corporation is scheduled to come in and present. So they will have an opportunity to ask questions there, as well as committee updates.
Why didn't you let the board know? Why is it just on the calendar? No notice went out. It's weird. It's not proper.
It was put up as, it was rescheduled. It was listed on the e-blast. It's been put on the calendar, and a notice has gone out from the district office as well.
It didn't. I didn't see a notice.
It went to the committee members. We don't send every board member, each committee member, because you all would receive a lot of calendar invites. You would lose them, and then the meetings would be all over the place. So we send invites for
Why wouldn't,
the committees themselves. The calendar
I didn't
invite,
get one, Dante.
you were on the calendar invite, Beverly. So
I
you
didn't
might
see
have to
it.
check your email, but I sent it.
so am I invited or not? I want to go.
You're a member of the public, Ms. Westerdahl. Everyone,
It's a public meeting, absolutely.
I'm a board member, though. I should have got it.
yeah, you're a board member.
I've got some issues with the housing, so I really need to. Beverly's not gonna be there? What's going on?
The meeting is scheduled, there was a meeting scheduled for Thursday. There is a meeting scheduled for Thursday. The information is posted on the board's website, as you see.
My question is, who's running the meeting on Thursday for the housing committee? Are you going to be the chair of that meeting, Fred, or who? That's what I think everybody's trying to figure out. As Beverly, we know, has been at the forefront with housing, and Teresa and everyone else, for them not to know. Also, too, I didn't notice, and I also saw that meeting come up on the calendar, and I'm watching as everyone else is, as the dialogue is happening. All you have to do is step in and say what's going on, and we can move past this.
It's very serious with the housing, it's very serious right now. People need housing and are looking to me as a board member, and I'm perplexed and need some assistance.
Right, there is a meeting scheduled for Thursday. Either the chair of housing will be taking that, or someone will be designated to chair the meeting. But there is a meeting scheduled for Thursday.
You said the chair of housing will be taking it?
Either she will be chairing it, or someone will be designated.
Okay.
Okay, all right. Okay, thank you for that. Oh, so listen, I guess, I'm sorry, who's?
Suki.
Suki, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I'm sure this is the last thing you guys want to hear, but I want to remind all of you that also on Thursday, the 18th in the evening, the Brooklyn Borough President is having a town hall on his comprehensive planning effort. So this is, again, something important that's going to affect all of us. And obviously we're spread a little thin here.
That's usual here. We're always spread thin. But thank you for that announcement. We'll make sure that goes out as well. So those who can attend that, absolutely encourage, and those who are interested in speaking with Empire State Development Corporation, have specific questions for that, they can attend that as well. Okay, let me see. I'm sorry, Mr. Almanor, if you're still on, I heard there was one action item where you said there was something your committee approved. Can you repeat that again, what it is that you want the board to consider? I'm not sure if he's still there. I'm not, Madam Secretary, did you get what the action item was he had that he said he wanted to do?
That was it. No, I didn't. I was trying to listen carefully. Why couldn't he? Where did he go?
He's there. I'm not sure if he's available. I know it sounded like he was in a space before. When we get there, we'll see if we can get him to repeat that. So we'll be able to discuss it and ask questions and see if it's something that goes before the board. All right, we'll check into that. Kyrie, I do see your hand. Is that still from the last time, or?
No, this is a new hand raised. Thank you so much, Fred. But my commentary is from moments ago. Because, everything moves fast, and I feel as though sometimes it moves so fast when there's pertinent information or something very vital for us all to hear, and we skip over and we move on. My question is this. I was just looking through the calendar again, because I was like, wait a minute, housing hasn't had a meeting for a while. I believe the last meeting for housing was in January. So for now, there to be a meeting that popped up on the calendar now, just so that it sounds like you said, one, the chair didn't even know it was a meeting going on, but you knew that you're coming now to present, or someone's coming to present something, may possibly a new building structure or something that's coming in the area. So again, we are now in May, we're going into June. We didn't have this housing committee or a meeting, it was disbanded, whatever, since January. No one knows anything. And on Monday, there's going to be a meeting where I'm sure they're probably going to try to throw up another big building. And I don't understand what's going on with this. Does it not bother anyone else?
Yeah, it bothers me a lot.
Okay, so would you rather
So
there
I-
not be a housing committee meeting?
So what I would like to suggest is that we don't have anyone present to the housing committee meeting, especially if the current and the former chair of the housing committee meeting and the other members of the housing committee meeting didn't know that they were having a meeting. And if they are to have a meeting first, they need to get together, or the housing committee, and speak and come on one accord before someone who's been planning to present whatever they're about to present to us. I feel as though it seems fishy. The 5G towers have gone up. We have known nothing about it. This just doesn't make any sense to me. So I actually would like to move to say, whomever is to present to the housing committee this coming Monday, we give them an email message asking them to please come back in June. And whoever is going to be currently the new chair, look, you don't even know who's going to present. You said, I don't know if the chair's coming or if we're going to assign someone. That's what needs to be taken care of on Monday if that meeting will still go. This is my suggestion. And not only a suggestion, I would actually like to vote on this in some way and make a motion to say no one should present to the housing committee before the housing committee is then come back together and structured. Because I'm looking on the calendar, no one has met since January. And there are new buildings going up left and right. I think something's fishy going on here. Or if maybe not fishy, we just need to make sure we're ready and prepared. So.
Yeah, Jay Sword has his hand up. I think Jay Sword wants to say something.
We're not in public session. Public commentary has already happened. So at
Can
this
you call
time,
on him, please?
we are
First of all, can
now
you
in
please just
session.
respect the rules of the room? I
Thank
mean, my goodness, just please.
Okay, no, Dante, it's okay. Dante, I got it. We are in business session right now. So we are in business session, executive committee members. So, Kyrie, you made a motion.
Yes.
Restate your motion.
Yes, I would like to make a motion to that no other entities, no other buildings, developers, or anyone presenting to build or any form of housing in our community comes to present at this meeting on Monday, or maybe the following month if the committee is not properly formed and they're not and aware of what's coming to them firstly. And I would assume that there's some documentation that these buildings or materials that they could have sent over to the district office. Maybe they did, I don't know. And that the housing committee should be able to review these first. So my motion is to.
Okay, we need to shorten that. That's a lot. That's a lot.
No, that's fine. So the simple motion, my motion is for this in Monday, the 18th, and this new housing committee meeting, that it's going to, for everyone to develop, establish who's the chair and who are the committee members before entertaining anybody to come and present to a housing committee. So my motion is to cancel or to reach out to the folks to invite them back at a later time once.
Okay, so let's make it much clearer. So your motion is to cancel the currently scheduled housing committee meeting.
And anyone, not the housing committee meeting, I was to cancel whomever is coming to present, because that's what it sounded like when you said there's someone coming to present. No? Is there anyone coming to present to the housing committee on Monday, Fred?
Yeah, Empire State Development Corporation.
Exactly. So my motion is that Empire State Development Corporation and/or anyone else should not be able to present to the housing committee until one is reformed and structured. And I would like for that to occur on Monday.
Monday when?
This Monday, the meeting that you suggested, Fred.
Okay, no, this is the reason why it's going on. The 18th is Thursday.
I mean, well, my apologies. Then Thursday, my apologies.
I'm just trying to figure out. Okay, so you're saying cancel. Okay, so are you saying cancel the meeting or just cancel the speaker?
No, we're canceling the speaker. And for this meeting, it should be established. Everyone should know, just like we know in the other committees like public safety, I'm a member, Primo's the chair. We should know that for the housing committee before bringing any developers or anyone there to make any votes, right? Because they're presenting to a housing committee. There is no committee currently. January was the last time there was.
There is a committee unless people have quit and nobody's been removed. So the
Well, there wasn't a committee.
meeting has been scheduled.
Okay, so the meeting is now scheduled. Fred, you understood did you understand what my motion was?
I understand. Okay, so I just want to make sure you're clear. So are you just saying you're against? Okay, so you're saying to remove the speaker?
Yes, to remove the speaker, yes. And any speakers until the housing committee has at least one meeting by themselves to get everything together. Were you not aware that the chair that we are aware of and also committee members, they're shocked about a housing meeting, or am I going crazy what I just witnessed here?
There's a miscommunication happening in terms of notification has been given to the housing committee members. Notification has been provided to the community via the e-blast. Notice is sufficient. Sufficient notice has been provided with respect to that.
No.
And the, okay, Ms. Westerdahl, thank you. Since you're the chair of the board. For that. But anyway, continuing.
No, let's
Those
just
things
go
have
for my
been.
motion to cancel the speaker. Can we go for my
Okay,
motion?
hold on. So listen, so motion to remove, your motion is to cancel the speaker.
For this current meeting that's coming, that you all scheduled.
Okay, and listen, if that's, okay, so that's, there's only 2 agenda items, I think. One is the speaker and one is committee update. So that's all, so you're just saying to amend that agenda. Okay,
No, what I said is what I said, which was to cancel the speaker, because if there's two agenda items, there is no committee, is what we're saying to you, Fred, is what even if you gave us ample time of 1 week's notice, remember, we have meetings every month. This has not been a meeting scheduled since January. I've just been reviewing the calendar. So even if you let someone know, I didn't know that the housing was coming again. And the Empire State Development, this is a big deal. So why would they just come to a housing committee that the members of the current housing committee didn't even know? Even if you all gave us ample time, which was probably a week or maybe you say 2, that's why we want to cancel them from coming.
well, let me do this. Let's see if your motion is there, and then we can have comment. We can have a discussion on there.
Thank you. So
is there? Okay, hold on. So your motion on the floor is to cancel the speaker. I think let's just make it very simple. Is to cancel the speaker.
Yes.
Okay.
So
Is there a second?
till after.
Executive committee members only. Is there a second to the motion?
So I would like you to do a vote. So, you do like you do.
Okay, hold on. There's no vote until there's a second. So I'm asking for, is there a second from the members of the executive committee? Okay, I call for a third time. Is there a second from a member of the executive committee?
This is very troubling to me.
Okay, I've called 3 times. There is no second for the motion. There is no second for the motion. Okay, we are going to move on with the order of the day. So I think the last question that we had was with respect to the environmental protection. That one we will come back in terms of, we'll determine if there's an action item on this.
Mr. Chair,
Yeah.
may I ask a question pertaining to the matter on the floor?
There is no matter on the floor, but what is the question?
When it comes to the housing committee, may I just ask a question pertaining to the housing committee, or I have to wait? Just want to find out.
Go ahead, Wilfred. What is your question, Madam Chair?
My question is pertaining to, and I am so sorry, I apologize, because the other meeting finished, I just finished another meeting, so I've been getting pieces. I saw an email that was being sent between the dialogue that was going between the proposed chair for the housing and the district manager, right? And talking about meeting dates and meeting schedule. So I just wanted to make it to either you or the district manager to just educate me somehow if I'm missing something. Because for each one of the committees on the board, I know that each chair for the committees were asked to give a date that they would want their meeting called. So each person, I have the first Thursday, and each committee chair have a date that they are having their meeting, so the members know they're having their meeting. Whoever goes on the website, they will see that this particular committee is meeting on that particular day, and it's a set date. So what is it any different for the housing committee? And if so, why? Because the way that the communication that was going on is just, it's like the housing chair says, I did not give him a date yet, he just said the date. So that already blew me away, because I'm like, each time that she's having a meeting, does she have to call Dante and say that I'm having a meeting that day, so I wanted to set a meeting? I thought it was something already set, because it was something the board was doing, set a meeting date for each one of the committees. So just please advise me on that, because I'm a little confused.
Okay, very, very quickly, and then we need to move on. Board policy is for each of the meetings, and this is something that's been set in terms of the protocol. Beginning of the year, we establish meeting dates for the committees. This is something that went out to all of the chairs. We asked you to establish what your dates are. Obviously, factors, if there are holidays and things of that nature, those days may switch, but we need to kind of understand and have some consistency in terms of when they meet. Because we are limited in terms of the amount of days that we are able to have meetings before the exec, those days, if you're going to deviate for that, have to be a conversation through the district office. Because one, we have to be able to provide sufficient notice. Two, we have to make sure that we have the resources to support any meetings. So there are conversations that are happening with respect to the meetings in terms of making sure that everything is being done, if there's any assistance that's required, and making sure that we are in compliance with all our requirements for committees for the board. So with that, I'm going to leave it at there are some additional conversations happening. The housing committee meeting is being scheduled, has been scheduled for this Thursday, so that way the committee can meet and definitely take care of, at least start addressing one of the issues that has been a topic in terms of the community that's come up a number of times. So it has been placed in the housing committee. The intent was to have the entity come and actually make a presentation. If there are any action items or any additional questions that we need, then we proceed from there in terms of if there's anything else that the board needs to do. But that is currently where we stand with respect to that. And just to be clear, in terms of the meetings, that is something that is done by the chairs, but that is done in coordination with the district office, because there has to be there's logistical things that have to be done with respect to that.
So the presentation, is it on the for the entire board, or do those people come into the committee before?
It's a committee. It's a committee meeting, but obviously the invitation is extended to the board and to the community.
It's a committee meeting, and it's not a meeting that's coming to the entire board. So the committee is meeting with the people from outside, with the chair, which I know is Ms. Newsom. Is that so?
Correct. Well, the chair has been advised, so if the chair is able to make it and chair the meeting, absolutely. If not, we'll make alternative arrangements, as we do if a chair is not able to chair to conduct the meeting.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Ms. Moses will take you, and then we really need to move on.
No, I just wanted, when you give your update, because now I'm really confused. I don't even know if there's even a chair now. So when you give your update, can you let us know what's going on? Is there a chair? Because I just heard there's no meeting since January. And I mean, I don't understand what in the world is going on. So maybe when you give an update, you could let us know what's going on?
Okay. Well, I can tell you this much right now. I have not received a resignation from the chair, and I have not removed the chair. So there is no movement in that committee as of this time. If that changes, it changes. But as of this moment, I can say there is no resignation tendered, and I haven't removed anyone.
And I got you. So that's why I said, and I'm talking to the entire executive committee. That makes absolutely no sense, because if you have a chair and they haven't met since January, then it would appear that someone would have been following up to find out what in the world is going on, or somebody's sick, or what's going on. And the reason that you also asked us to have a co-chair. So in any event that the chair cannot make it of that committee, it should have been a co-chair that would step up and do these meetings.
No, point is taken. Duly noted. Thank you. Okay. All right. And let me do a final call, and I apologize again. Are there any other chairs who have not been able to give a report at this time? Oh, I'm sorry, Sol. Sol, I see you right there. I'm sorry. Sol, do you have a report for youth services?
Hi, yes, and hi, everybody. Hold on, I'm in the dark now. Hi, yes, so, hi, everybody. Just letting you guys all know that with Youth Services Committee, we're preparing for being of support with the community fair that's coming up. And, part of what we'd like to do is we have requested to extend the day so that we can we're sorry, I'm getting distracted. We had requested extending the day so that we can do the film festival with the youth, showing them the film festival. And then after the vending part of the first half of the day, we would then have it be the family fun day. So we would have like games like double dutch, potato sack races, chess, checkers, and all the type of things so that families can have fun and enjoy themselves. And then when it starts to get more into the evening, we would then show some videos from Real Works and Soul to Souls youth that have done videos that they feel are important to them and give different issues and express what they're going through. So that's one of the things that we'll be doing there. We have requested $2,000 to pay the DJ for the day. He'll be there the full day. And then also for him to provide the screens and the projectors and all of the things we need for the sound. I know one of the things that came up after speaking to him is making sure that we know where the power source is, like where would the power source be, and you know, and things like that. So those are some of the things that have come up, but he's willing to do whatever it takes to be of support on that day. And everybody's very excited on the Youth Services Committee to be of service with that. And so we also are going to need some funding towards just buying sports equipment for that day. And then the Youth Service Committee could help organize the different challenges and competitions. You know, we're thinking it could be stuff between parents and kids, or just the kids, or just parents and things like that. So that's something that we're working towards. The other thing I did want to bring up, because I did reach back out to the committee because I had realized that every year Soul to Souls does a Feeding the Community event on Juneteenth, and we do it in front of Wise Deli, which is on Eastern Parkway in Franklin. And so I asked the youth, excuse me, I'm having a little bit of a cold. I asked the youth committee if they are interested in joining in and us partnering to provide that for the community, and there was a resounding yes. So I wasn't sure of what I needed to do to, I guess, make that official, or, you know, figure that part out. But I wanted to make sure that I put it out there because I know that people said that they would love to be able to do that. The other thing we brought up was possibly working to do a community fridge. So I think we're trying to figure out exactly where we would want to put it, and then seeing if like a deli or whatever store would be close by would be open to providing the power and things like that for the fridge. So those are the things that have come up for us, and that's pretty much it for us on Youth Committee.
Oh, thank you very much. And I see you guys are really working. Okay, well, let me ask this. So for those items that you just brought up, have they been voted on by the committee?
Yes, so we did vote on everything. So it's just a matter of, you know, what are our next steps, or what else do I need to do?
Okay, that's one of the things. So I would probably say that we would just need a little bit of a roadmap in terms of what are the action items that you need the board to do. If
Okay,
it's specifically funding, if it's outreach, if it's contacting people, things of that nature. Just so that way, it's like as we come to the executive committee and we bring it to the full board, everyone knows that, okay, well, these are the things that we're saying we're going to do. We're either putting funds to it, we're going to make community, we're going to establish that as a project of the board, spearheaded by the committee.
yeah. Well, I know that we did already put that out there with the money. The only thing we haven't established it, excuse me, is exactly how much the sports equipment would cost. So that's the only thing that, you know, I guess we could talk about, but I wouldn't anticipate that being a whole lot of money. You know, just to get a few things, just getting some games and rope and things like that. But that would be everything else has already been voted. We already said we wanted it. It's just a matter of like exactly how much, and, you know, what is the board willing to support on that.
Okay, if you can get those, have you given those numbers to the district office already, the district manager? He has all
The
of
2,000 I have, the sports equipment was in my original budget when I turned everything in.
Okay, let's do this. Let's talk offline and let's just make sure it's a line item budget. So Dante, you'll see what you can support, and if there's any gaps, we can, for the board meeting, we consider and have a vote if necessary there.
And
Okay.
then I guess for the what you call it, the Juneteenth, it's not something that's costing the board any money because I'm working with Campaign for Hunger to provide the food. It's really more of manpower and people just volunteering to help give out the food. And that's really all it is. And then it would just be advertising that we're all doing it together.
Okay, so let's do this. As opposed to putting that, let's put that under new business. As long as you can get that information to Dante,
Okay.
even if we don't put it on the agenda for this one, if we can get enough information, it can be brought up as part of new business as necessary as well. But I just want to make sure the material.
You broke out for the last part. I didn't hear the last part.
Yeah, I was saying is if we can get all the numbers together, if we can get everything together, if it's ready, as opposed to putting it on the agenda right now, we can take it under new business. And as long as it's a pretty straightforward one, I think we will be able to vote on it, make sure it's approved for the May meeting.
All right. So you're talking about for tonight's meeting.
No, for the board meeting, So yeah,
Okay.
for the board meeting.
Okay. All right. No problem.
Okay. All right. The Chair of Youth Services.
Wait, I have a comment, Crystal. It's Warren. I suggest that, so PAL, the Police Athletic League at the 71st Precinct, is very into these events, and they do have equipment already and activities, and it may be something you want to speak with Dante with, to how do you reach out? And it may not only be an expenditure, but you may get more than you envisioned. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that. Are there any other questions for the Chair of Youth Services?
Kyrie, thank you for the information.
Okay, seeing none, thank you very much for the report. And again, so we'll work offline. We'll try and get that information and we'll bring it up as part of new business. We can present to the board. We'll just try and get it out in advance.
Quick comment, great work, Saul. Keep up the good stuff.
Thank you so much, Prima.
Okay, all right then. Okay, so I think we've completed all of our committee reports. We do have a number of action items that we're going to have to consider very shortly, but so let's do this. Let's continue on. Let's go through the DM's report and my report, and then we'll be able to get to those action items, have conversations necessary, and approve the agenda for the upcoming board meeting. Dante, you have a report for the exec?
Yes, it's rather brief. Okay, so in partnership with CB9, the Department of Finance will be holding screened reappointments in the board office the first Thursday of each month from 1 to 3 p.m. Folks who need these services can call the board office to schedule an appointment with the Department of Finance. Also in partnership with CB9, the Department of Social Services, HRA, will be holding SNAP and cash assistance application appointments the last Friday of each month from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. at the Crown Heights Library located at 560 New York Ave. Folks who need the service, they can call 646-907-2820 to schedule an appointment. You all should have been seeing this, and it's went out multiple times over the past couple of weeks. The marathon will be held on the 20th. The traffic advisory has been sent out a couple of times, and we will send it out one final time. Please, if you know of anyone who might need that information, please pass that along. Also wanted to bring to everyone's attention, in partnership with CB9, the Department of City Planning will be hosting a Land Use 101 training on May 24th at 7 p.m. The training will not discuss like specific proposals, but it will provide an overview of zoning and land use in the city. If you know, obviously this will go out to the whole board and to the community. Anyone who might be interested in this information, please direct them to the website or to the board office so they can get the information. It will also be in our e-blast as well.
Sorry, what's the date for that? May 29th?
May 24th.
24.
Week from today. Okay. A public hearing has been scheduled for May 31st, the week after, at 7 p.m. for the Department of City Planning Carbon Neutrality City of Yes proposals. Our City of Yes subcommittee has been going over these proposals for months. And so time has come for us to do a public hearing to hear the public's temperature on these citywide text amendments. And so if you know of anyone who would want to participate in this, please direct them to the board office. The information's on our website, I believe already, but we will definitely be disseminating this in our e-blast. It will go out to the board. It will be put up on our website as well. Again, that's going to be May 31st. So look out for that public hearing information. I'm not sure if a couple of people have received this information, but I did receive it from the district attorney's office. I just wanted to provide this update. 32 alleged members of the 8-Tray Cowboy Crips and its affiliates and the 9 Ways gangs who were alleged are directly responsible for a murder, 12 non-fatal shootings, a kidnapping, gang assault, car thefts, and other crimes between March 2019 and December 2022. Those individuals have been charged. So that information came through to the board office. So if you're interested in that information, just reach out and I will send that out to you. But I wanted to note that for you all. Something else that I just found out actually kind of unfortunate. The department, well, as of April 1st, the Office of Street Vendor Enforcement is no longer under the Department of Consumer and Worker Protection, which I just found out today. It has been moved to the Department of Sanitation. So that's news to me. And so we will be reaching out to DSNY to build those relationships. If you know of any vendors in the district who are vending illegally and are, I would say, causing some type of public health concern, reach out to the board office and we will reach out to now the Department of Sanitation with that correspondence. Also, you all might have seen this on the news, but I just caught a glimpse of it when I walked out of the office. The MTA customer reach survey is now active. We haven't received any like a formal email regarding the survey, but I will look for it and send it out to the board. Please, I would assume that everyone knows people who take public transportation, disseminate this information to your neighbors, to your friends, to your networks, and fill out that survey. And then, let's see, lastly, again, please connect people to the board office. We've had more and more people signing up for our e-blast, which is good, but we want to continue to have more and more people sign up so they're getting the information that we receive from city agencies, from nonprofits. There's a lot of programming happening throughout the city and in the borough. And so if you know of anyone who needs information, have them reach out to the board office. We can get them signed up for our weekly e-blast. Okay, and then let's see. I guess the finality of my report will be, I know that questions had come up regarding the community fair. I do want to thank Sol for staying in contact with me and working through some of the logistics and programming on that. The community fair is coming along well, actually. We are on schedule for June 3rd. Right now we have a confirmed approximately 45 vendors. So if you know of any other nonprofits or agencies that you think would be relevant for the area and the information would be relevant to folks in the area, have them reach out to the board office. I'll send them the link so they can sign up. We still have space, so we definitely want to get as many vendors out there as possible with as much information as we can. But yes, with the community fair, it's coming along. We've been disseminating the flyer. We will continue to disseminate the flyer. Organizations still have, I would say, even maybe until next week to sign up, because we've already solidified a vendor for the tables and chairs. So that's already been taken care of. So that gives us a little flexibility to get more vendors to the fair. So if you guys know of any
Dante,
vendors.
can I ask
Yep.
a favor? Can you
What's up?
send the email out like tomorrow, just to the exec committee with the flyer and the link and some language, and I'll make sure to get that out. I'm sure you already have sent it out. It's just been in a larger
I know.
email
Hey, you
probably,
good?
and I missed it.
Okay.
Thank
You're
you.
good. Nope, thank you. All right, I'll do that. Okay, and yeah, so that's the finality of my report. I will answer any questions. I see Suki.
Yeah, I'm just, once again, this issue of dates, I'm somewhat confused about. You said that city planning was coming to do a public hearing on May the 31st, which is not a date we've heard before. At our ULURP meeting, the chair announced June 13th, which is our next committee date. And that was announced as a date for the public to be invited. Was the 31st a date that you were working on with the chair? Did anybody know about this before?
Okay, so the 31st date was just solidified with DCP. So I've been working with Ms. Moses to see when DCP could come before the committee to present the City of Yes proposals. So this is two different things. I want to make this very clear, right? The public hearing is going to be for our constituents. So we will disseminate information. You as board members will disseminate information, the City of Yes proposals. If the resolutions that were passed, that are being presented and passed, are passed, disseminate all that information out to the public so they can come to a public hearing on the 31st and voice their concerns. Now,
Okay, but this is just a concern because at our ULURP meeting, the 13th was announced as the public date, and somebody turned to Alicia Boyd and said specifically, this is the date we need to bring the public out for. Can you make sure to bring the public out on the 13th? But now we're hearing the 31st.
yeah, yes. So these are two different things. The
I
public-
understand, but they were
we will-
conflated at our ULURP
Yes,
meeting.
we
hold on.
we will
Let me finish
disseminate
this
both meetings as we always do. We would make it clear that they are two different things. Again, the 13th meeting is for the City of Yes for DCP to come and present on their proposals. The 31st, again, is for our residents, our constituents, people in our district to come and voice their thoughts on City of Yes, what the subcommittee has been doing, and the resolutions that may or may not be passed next week. And so, yes, we will make sure.
Hold on, Suki, hold on. Before you continue, hold on, let me ask this. And perhaps this helps to clarify. Okay, is there a requirement for the board to do a hearing for saying this is a ULURP text amendment, so this is going through the ULURP process, correct?
It's not
Okay.
ULURP.
It's not, yeah.
It's not ULURP? Okay, so, all right, so let me ask this. So so we're not required to do a hearing?
I don't believe so,
Okay.
but I will confirm.
Then let's do this. Let's do this then. You already have the date, so it's confirmed. Let's check in with the chair to see if it makes sense or what makes sense to keep that date or just to continue on with that. I mean, I'm glad that you did that just because I would want to preserve our posture if we're required to have a hearing on the matter. But if it's not a ULURP thing, my understanding was a text amendment, so I thought that goes through ULURP. But if it's not, and it's not a requirement, we can have a conversation in terms of what's the best way, the easiest way to proceed forward. Taking into account, the committee's probably done some work on that and they've led on that. So let's take that one offline, hold the date, but let's talk with the chair and figure out what we're going to do with those next dates.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Okay. Fran, I see you, and Pat, I see you.
And Warren.
And Warren.
Yeah, I just wanted, I know Dante spoke about, if you know of anyone, have them to reach to the board. And last week, Thursday, I went to the precinct meeting, the neighborhood meeting at St. Gabriel's, and Suki was present there as well. And one of the concerns, persons who, I'm just bringing that up because I wanted to find out if they reach out to you. If not, I have the information and I'll call you. I would email it to you tomorrow. That some of the those how do you call them, the CBD stores And so there are some areas down there in Flatbush where they rented out the place. The place it was a restaurant, and in the basement they had a lot of meats and stuff in the freezers, and they pull up all those meats and they threw them on the streets, and it was the stench and everything that out there. So they're having a few problems out there, and then I had to speak to them and ask them whether they have contacted the board office, because they said they have been calling 311 and they have not been trying to reach out to city agencies. The police officers told them as anything else, they couldn't do anything concerning the stores or close them down or anything. And I know it is a talk you'll have been having. But then when it comes to the outside the community on the whole, the persons are not having a good vibe down there. So I'm going to give you the person's number, and I know that some would have called you because I give them the number and I said, please call the board. The board is here to help. So call since you're not getting through to 311, and they will be able to put you to the right persons. But they're having a whole lot of issues on Flatbush with some of these new stores that are opening up right now.
I would just quickly respond, Primo. There's also a Office of Cannabis Management Enforcement office. So that would be a good number to give, and feel free to give my number as well. But the enforcement information has been circulated to the community.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Ms. Moses, well, actually, final call. Any questions for the DM? Please raise your hand. We're gonna close the list very short. Okay, Ms. Moses, I'm sorry, Ms. Moses and Warren, we have you after that, and then we're gonna close. Go ahead, Ms. Moses.
Yeah, I didn't know anything about public hearing being given on May 31st. The reason that we're having the June, we're having somebody come in. Before you give a public hearing anyway, you need to know exactly what it is being proposed. So they're coming in to do a presentation, and we are inviting everyone to come to that particular meeting. It is not a public hearing. As a matter of fact, I don't even understand how one could give anything a public hearing on the 31st when you haven't even heard the facts or whatever it is that they're really proposing. And I also know that there is going to be a public hearing, but we're not giving it. It's actually going to be given by the city. And I think that's like after July, I can't remember, I have to Google the date, but I know they are actually giving the public hearing because they're required to give so many public hearings. Because at this point right now, it's not really a ULURP issue at this point. So I think we'll get a lot of the answers when the person comes out on June 13th. So like I said, I was not aware of any public hearings being given on the 31st.
No, I would say that's very fair. And as you already have something scheduled, the only thing I would say is maybe there's a conversation, either we keep the date and we do something with it or not. But the only reason why I say that is because we want to give ourselves as much runway as possible, because we're done about 10 days after your meeting. So if there's any opportunities for the public to hear anything or do those things, let's see if there's any opportunities there. Otherwise, we can figure out what the schedule looks like from there. But thank you and the committee for the work that you're doing on this at this time.
Right. So I'm just saying, so what are you saying? I'm not understanding. So how can you give a public hearing before you know the public hasn't even been given the information?
No, understood. And what I'm saying is Dante's got a commitment from DCP to come in on the 31st. I'm not sure if, as we got something a little bit earlier, if maybe that's the opportunity to have them do a presentation.
On the 13th. Dante and I thought we were on the same page.
Okay, and all I'm saying is, and that's fine because we can confirm that offline. If you can use the date for something else, great. If it doesn't work, fine, that's another conversation. But let's take that one offline. But you have mentioned as part of your report, you have the 13th scheduled to do something. So that's okay. And we'll see if there's anything we can do with that other date in the DCP already on the calendar, or at least committed to come to the board. Okay. Okay, Warren.
Hey, I'm just a little concerned about what participation the committees are having in the community fair. I hear about vendors, but has anything been reached out to the committees saying, number one, are they gonna vend? Number two, who is gonna be there? And do we have the manpower to carry out this fair? Because number one is first vice chair and number two is a committee chair. I have not received any requests. Dante?
Yes, so we are going to be sending out information to solicit volunteers because we are going to be short-staffed for the community fair. So that's going to go out. So hopefully some of you will actually help with that endeavor. So you haven't received that yet, and that's why. In terms of the participation of the committees with respect to really had all year to send information to the board office on their participation.
No, I disagree with that, but go
Okay,
ahead.
Your disagreements noted. A couple of committees, actually Souls Committee is one committee that sent actual proposals. Other committees haven't sent anything official. And then I've been working, I guess, hand in hand with Soul and Mr. Almanor to pull everything, and the staff obviously to pull everything together. But we will be soliciting for volunteers from the membership for the day of.
Okay, my point is the following. Number one, we have not had the committees participating in this. And it's not up to the committees all year to say what they're gonna do. In other words, we have 10 committees. We're having a community CB9 affair, and each committee should be represented. So while there has been no outreach on that, which you've just stated. So I think we should really be doing something about that and not say that the committees have not given anything all year. We need to involve our committees in the CB9 fair. So I think we should need some action taken on that. Thank you.
Okay. Just one quick point on that. I just want to make sure that we're on the record where this is something that has been mentioned on a number of occasions where the request was made for committees to work on that and to submit the proposals, those budget event forms. That was requested several times. So let me just finish. Several times. There is a certain point where it's like, okay, listen, after we've asked several times in terms of that, and to the point where I think we've had one or two committees who have actually said, these are events we're planning, and there have been conversations around there. But I think the opportunities were presented to the committees first to help shape the event. Right now, the event is coming in 2 weeks. So I think right now, executing it to the best that we can, making sure that the board fully is on board with supporting this, and we're going to move on. I think there's definitely going to be some both in terms of how do we improve participation.
You're cutting in and out.
But I just wanted to make sure that we were very clear in terms of this is not a surprise. Yeah, I'm seeing an unstable connection.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Further appreciating that,
Can you hear me?
noting that. I think each
Right.
committee. should be
Well,
represented
Warren,
by
I just wanted to, I just wanted
That's
to make that
all.
one point, but I do have the one item that question I do have. Dante, how much is this going to cost? We need to vote on an item.
Yeah, right now, we're at about, with the 2,000 for the DJ to cover the whole day, we're at around the whole day.
We're diverting from my question, okay?
$2,000
My
for
question
the
is simply.
Yeah, it's
Francesca,
not, hold on though.
Warren,
Wait a
It's-
minute,
No,
1 second.
let me just put my question forthright. I'm not talking about budgets. I'm not talking about cost. What I'm talking about, each committee having the table at the fair, which has no cost. So that's my only point. Thank you.
Yeah, and the 2,000 is not just for the DJ. The 2,000 is for the screens and the stuff that's going up, the equipment and sound equipment and everything. So it's not just like 2,000 just for a DJ. Much more to it. I just want to make sure people know.
It's a super reasonable price. 2,000.
It's very reasonable. Like it's
Yeah.
not anything. Nobody else would charge us that little bit of money for.
I'll do it.
May I say something, please?
Mhm.
Hold
Go
on
ahead,
one second. Hold on. We're getting out. Dante, finish. What is the number? What is the number?
Okay, so right now we're at 7963. So that includes tables and chairs, water, the DJ plus all that equipment. This is possible, maybe a portable toilet, one ADA accessible and one general use. Some budget for miscellaneous things, trash bags, table cover, those things. And then some food for the folks who are vending. So that right now totals $79.63. So we should be in that ballpark right there.
Yeah, but just Fred, excuse me a second. My question isn't the cost. My question is, why aren't the committees at no cost participating in this event? Besides, so, no, excuse me,
Warren, can I ask a question? Because
sure.
From the beginning, everybody was told, and we all talked about, we've been talking about this multiple meetings. That's why months ago, I turned in my part of the proposal. So like everybody has the opportunity, everybody in every committee had the opportunity to turn it in, because I don't think nobody is being excluded. We've been talking about this.
No. First of all, so I really respect what you've done and I commend it, but that's not my issue.
Okay, so
my issue,
clarify.
And this has nothing to do with you and your committee.
No, I know that.
Obviously, you've done a great job, but my question is very central. Okay, that we have 10 committees on the community board,
right?
And whether or not they submitted budgets doesn't matter because there's no cost in tabling.
So Warren, if I may,
I want to know what outreach and what questions are being asked to the chairs as to why you're not participating.
So, can I just offer something really quickly? It'll be super quick.
And we need to
I think it'll get it closed out. Warren, I think I just asked for this information to be sent to the executive committee. I think we can also ask the executive committee to host a table at the event, and I don't see any reason why we can't get that done. We have a month and a half before the event.
Primo, does that answer my point?
No, I mean, it sounds like it was a miss, and but that's past, we're past that, and so if we want to fix it, let's fix it.
Yeah, let's work on it. That's my point, that
Right.
every committee should have a table. No
Okay,
cost.
and Warren,
Absolutely.
so Warren,
I don't think
and
anybody disagrees.
we will send a
thank
note to we will send a note to all the chairs for all the committees. You can specifically table if you want to table and provide materials. Otherwise, this is an all hands on board members to be there, just because it's a community fair and this is how we interact with the community. So from
How about using the words, it's your responsibility to participate?
we'll drop that communication. So I'll work with the DM, we'll drop that communication, but that's the expectation. All right, so Dante, your three sounds awful like 8,000 to me. Is that going to cover everything that you need, or is there additional funding we should cover?
I feel like no, I think I want to be
The only
careful.
thing to consider is if PL or people aren't gonna volunteer, just maybe some sports equipment, but like I said, that shouldn't be more than like $100, $200, it shouldn't be a lot, but that's the only thing I don't see completely covered. And I know there was a request for a bouncy house and we had turned in a request for that. So I don't know if these are additional costs that you guys are willing to do, but I know we turned in an invoice for a bouncy house and then we just wanted to do one for the sports equipment. Those are the only two things I can see that might increase the cost if it's okay.
The sporting equipment might be rather difficult to purchase because if it's the boards, I don't want to really house sporting equipment in the board office. That's a waste of space, to be completely honest. So I don't think I can really justify using city funds with that. The DJ and all that equipment, that's fine. That's no big deal. In terms of the bouncy house, I know people love bouncy houses, but at the end of the day, it's going to be my name on a lot of these permits and people are going to see me, and it's too much of a liability. This is meant to really be a community fair, information for people to come and get real information. And so we've added on the movie aspect to it. I think that right now the $8,000 is about as much as we can really push financially for the board.
All right, well, I know that as far as the work we did, that was something that we always included in our costs, in our budget.
Yes,
for
and
the-
I believe that I sent your budget back to you, and the
Well,
ones that were
listen,
red. I
we're
said
gonna we're gonna get into this.
and
Dante
ones-
is
No,
we're
so
go-
that's fine. So I will just see if there's people that would donate or do something, if that's not something that's gonna be cost. But I know that it was something that we responsibly turned in as a request. And because we wanted it to also be a family fun day where we have families having fun with each other.
So I pose the last question again. Dante, what is the number that is most likely going to add a little bit of cushion, a little bit? What are we really?
8,300.
8,300 is the number. So we have an action item from the district. Sorry.
Table.
I apologize. I'm shutting down my video because it looks like my internet is not stable here. Can you hear me? Can everyone hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, so we have an action item that I believe we need to consider as an executive forward to the board of 8,300 for the event. So
I
these are
have
the
a
things.
question that I want to ask, please, or make a statement. After you finish
Okay, well, is it about the cost? Is it about the event? What is it about?
the event, not the cost.
Okay, let's do this. I'll take your question very quickly, but then I want to make sure that okay, we'll take that up. Go ahead. What is your question? And then we're gonna move on.
Yeah, I understand what Warren is asking, because I myself, I was really vague at I didn't even know the fair was coming up. I was at my office, and then one my coworker said, "Oh, see, the board is having this fair," because I know that the budget have been, Dante, you and Dante have spoken about, but I've been hearing that persons putting a budget together as to what they would like to do for the committees. I thought I was under the impression it's like if we are planning something for our committees to present a budget. So I didn't know that we were presenting a budget based on what the community fair. I didn't even know that there was a date or anything set up for community fair, because last year when we had a community fair, we had a committee. A committee was set, we were meeting, we were having meetings, and one person was in charge of this and one person is in charge of that, and we knew what was happening. So I had no idea that there was a plan behind the scene, that the fair was being discussed and it was being planned and everything like this. So everything that I'm hearing now, it is just news to me. So I get what Warren is saying, because I have no idea. It's just like, I'm not sure if just Dante and the office staff who's doing this, and then Sol now, because she started working with her stuff, she jumped in the loop, and then because she had already started talking about doing this thing and looking for funding, to do this thing, and then that just tie in with everything else, but I mean, it is something I'm hearing she's saying that it is a big discussion. I have been hearing about committees, give your budget, put your budget, but I know that the monies are limited with the board. And what I was trying to do is to get more. I was working with the Rita Joseph to get monies from, and she was on board to do a spa day for the seniors. And then she was going to work with me on that as well. So I didn't even know this was been planned, because how it's been done now, it's like, because we had a committee last year, so I don't know who's on the committee, how this committee was formed or anything. So that's just what I have to say about it.
Okay, thank you for that then. Okay, we need to move on, because I know and then we have a number of items we still have to resolve. So at this time, I'm going to give my report. I'm going to
Yeah, your audio is going in and out.
Oh boy, having fun here. Hold on. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you there.
All right. Let me see if I can do this. Bear with me 1 second. I'm gonna see if I can call in. Well, let me just continue and we'll see how far we can go. All right. So first, nominations and elections. We've started the election cycle. Thank you to the nominations committee for all the work that has been done. There'll be some obviously additional communications and information that are going to come out over the next month in terms of the cycle. We are electing seven officers. All the positions are open. I encourage members of the board to, if you're thinking about it, to please consider putting your name in. And if you have questions, so please absolutely feel free to reach out and ask. and we can tell you a little bit about the positions and things that are done as part of that executive committee. One of the things I want to point out is that there are going to be a number of factors that are a little bit on the fluid side. It was requested before about, are we meeting in person? Are we going to deal with balloting? Some of that is fluid. It is going to depend on whether if the virtual conferencing is extended or if it is not. So depending on what happens with that, we're trying to come up with a number of plans around there where if we were required to, we will see how that works. And if it is extended again and it's in the window, or our elections are in the window, we will see what works best. I wish I had a better answer, but I think probably towards the end of May, within the next couple of weeks, we'll have a much better idea of where we're going to be at that point. And the district office will be able to work to see, make sure that we have the appropriate resources to conduct our elections and conduct our meeting. In the past, that has not been an issue. As a board, what we've done is we passed temporary amendments that sunset after the board meeting that allow for electronic balloting. So that is something that is an option. I'm sorry, can everyone still hear me?
It's cutting out a little bit, but we're getting the gist of it.
Good. Yeah, so we'll see where we land. It's going to depend on what happens on the city level about the emergency amendments to the OML. Fair, it's coming, 2 weeks. Giving us the price. There's going to be a lot of resources there. This is a phenomenal event last year. There's no reason why it can't be even better this year, especially given lessons learned and the resources we're putting into it. The only thing that's going to stop it from being a success is if we don't show up. So I exhort all members of CB9, come out, show out, and let's get out there with our community and have a great time and show off all the resources and organization vendors that we have here at our disposal. So again, I think that the district manager talked about a CB9 training with respect to DCP, and I thank the district manager for setting that up. And that's one of the things that we definitely want to make sure we're doing is providing those training opportunities for us to get better understand how the city functions and all the rules that apply to us, to learn how to improve to the board. So the training with DCP is the first step, but we will definitely be looking to have additional trainings as we go along. And I ask especially for new members to make sure they avail themselves of those. It helps us get better at what we do and more effective as a board. One of the things that I wanted to address as well, especially that the board has changed drastically just in the last 30 days. So one of the things that I intend to work with the district office is making sure that I think at a very baseline, we have the correct information for people. I think we've already had issues with phone numbers and emails not being correct. So one of the things we want to do is just make ways to get in touch with people. And that's going to be also goes back into the outreach that we do as well. A lot of information comes out of the district office from the e-blast. So it's essential that we have that and hopefully everyone is on there. Part of that also we ask for, for board members to act as ambassadors. When you get the information, please forward it to your networks as well. One of the conversations we always have is how do we get out there? How do we get out there? Understanding, how much paper we can and mailings and things of that resources we those things. We still have our friends, our networks, word of mouth. If we go to churches, if we go to synagogues, we can pass the word about what's going on in the district as well. So I absolutely ask for everyone to consider that in terms of when you get information, make sure we're passing it along. If you have seniors and if we have seniors in our lives, to make sure that, if we're able to print those things to make sure that they get it as well. And definitely, I think the district office has been very open to if there are multiple channels or spaces we should be in, where are those? And we can have conversations about how's the best way to do that. I've heard a couple of times, and I think one of the things that's great is that people are bringing issues to the board. And I just want to reiterate in terms of when we're doing, I say that one complaint thing very data centric, and as far as they're concerned, it's like if they don't see these things on 311 or they're not popping up on a request list or a complaint list, they don't give it the attention it deserves. So make sure 311 that logs the complaint, but that we always ask for, call the district office. Get the reference number, call the district office and let them know. Because from that point, our team can look at it. They can try and enact, see if they can get action. Dante, when he has his district service cabinet meetings, or if he goes to before the borough service cabinet meetings, can escalate issues as well. And then sometimes, depending on the number of complaints, we can figure out what's a matter of service gaps or if there are policy concerns that the board needs to do. But it's important that we get that information about what's going on. And what we don't know. So that's why it's critical for us to make sure that we're telling people. That's one of the things the board is there for, to be able to escalate those issues and try and get those changes to improve quality of life in the district. And just as a word for all the committee chairs, as I have you here, we are in May, which means June is right around the corner. We are almost done, complete with our board year. Start landing the plane. So for all those who have items that are up in the air, or you have them in flight, please let's start having the conversation up. Or if these are things, please let's make sure we're documenting this so that way we can make sure we pick up conversation from ground zero next year. Again, so that's for all the committee chairs. Please make sure, we need to make sure the board stays in compliance. If you have outstanding minutes, if you have outstanding documents, district office, and confirm and make sure we have everything we need for historical purposes and to create, to support the work coming up next year for the board. That is items on my list at this time. At this time, I will take any questions. Ms. Moses, I see your hand. Are there any other questions? I see Ms. Moses going once. I see Ms. Moses going twice. Okay, Ms. Moses, we'll take it.
I just wanted to say something because I'm still like a little troubled with the public hearing. And the reason that I am is because, number one, there has to be a format. First of all, it has to be posted in newspapers. And second of all, the information has to go out to the community residents. So, and then it has to go, the posting also has to go into the New York City office. So to me, like when somebody's saying like they're doing a public hearing, it's a lot of work that goes into a public hearing before we could even have a public hearing. So for one to just to say a public hearing, so it must have been a public information session because you could not have a public hearing if it wasn't, like I said, posted in newspapers and it has to go out to the community. As a matter of fact, they have to submit their questions to us. We had, I had one before. So it's a long process. It's not something like you could just put your hands up in the air and say, we have a public hearing. So I just hope like something like that is just not done again like that, because that's not how a public hearing is done.
Right. Well, just very quickly to that point and as well. The notice has in advance. I think that the first taken by the office to confirm that DC even be there if we even did it. So I think those things were done in advance. I think the only question right now is that what we want to go forward with? If it is, and I leave you and Dante to see if that's something that's an option you want to pursue, that's fine. And if it's not, that's okay. I think that if nothing else, it was posed as an option. And if we decide not to exercise that, we're good. I think you and your committee have already proposed your plan. And we can definitely go forward with that as well. But I think just from the administrative standpoint, we were in the position to be able to execute this. We are in a position to execute this. Should be the option we want to pursue. But it's just a question of after this meeting, we can have the conversation.
I don't want to. I don't want to get into any arguments about it. All I'm trying to say.
I get your point. Your point is taken, and I'm just saying is we are in a position to execute if it's required, and it's not something that's a done deal. And the office, I think, at this point has the experience in terms of being able to turn a hearing around if it's required.
No,
okay.
No, I want to get this clear. No, I want to listen. This is what I want to say to you. All I want to say is that I know for a fact that the procedure was not followed. That's all I'm saying.
Thank you. Thank you. Disagreed, but okay. So that concludes my my report. All right, we have a number of items that we need to get through just to confirm the agenda for the month. So first,
Excuse me, Fred. I wanted to make some comments.
let's get through before we get to the agenda. We have these items. Let's get those, and then you'll get an opportunity to me
I think it's important.
get a beat on the liquor license applications. Plus, there was one other item that I think we need to make sure we get that business straight. But I will give you the floor. You will have the floor and opportunity.
Thank you.
Okay. For the link, the 5G.
Give me one sec. All right. Okay. I got it. Give me one sec. Share.
Okay. And confirming you were able to send it out, correct? So it went out to the exec?
Yes. Okay, you can see this.
Thank you very much. Okay, we're going to go through very quickly. It's not a short resolution. We're going to try and go through it. If there are a couple of questions, we will take those for the committee chair. And if there's any discussion, we'll vote to see if we're going to move this forward from the exec. All right. So the resolution that was proposed, this was passed by the Environmental Protection Committee. Following resolution was then put forward by CB9, which is not totally accurate. We're going to be considering this if this goes through exec. Whereas the City of New York, through OTI, is contracted with CityBridge to install and operate citywide wireless communications network. Whereas CityBridge installed citywide wireless communications network intended to replace outdated public payphones. Whereas Link NYC provided free 4G wireless cellular connectivity using towers placed on sidewalks throughout New York City, many of which included electronic display screens. And whereas CB9 in Brooklyn and other communities throughout the New York City and the constituents of their district have reported adverse impacts resulting from Link NYC infrastructure, including visual impacts, inappropriate usage, impacts on sidewalk clearances, and rat infestation. And whereas, thank you, CityBridge is now in the process of upgrading its Link NYC network to 5G to accommodate technological upgrades that have recently become commonplace in cellular telecommunication. Link 5G infrastructure is a 32-foot tall tower that is installed on the side of continue. Whereas Link 5G in commercial districts include electronic screens similar to those found in Link NYC kiosks that display advertising and public information. And whereas the design of the Link 5 Public Design Commission, and whereas Link 5G, must adhere to siting requirements determined by the New York City Department of City Planning and must attain Landmarks Preservation Commission approval if sited in historic districts. And whereas CityBridge and OTI installed 5G towers without notification input from the residents and Community Board 9, whereas CityBridge and OTI have proposed an unknown number of sites across Community District 9, and whereas CityBridge and OTI have proposed an unknown number of, OTI has stated that the siting of the proposed Link 5G towers in Community District 9 are based on gaps in coverage and locations where excess demand for the network exists as determined by commercial cellular carriers. And whereas the currently proposed locations for 5G towers are not disclosed to residents and Community Board 9, whereas residents of Community District 9 have strongly objected to the design and the visual impact of the Link 5G towers would have on streetscapes, both with and without screens. And whereas there are widespread concerns that 5G towers will be constructed at distances considered too close to adjacent buildings, as has already occurred on Bedford. And whereas 10 feet of distance from a tower to a residence that is permitted is extremely insufficient and should be revisited as a policy. And whereas there are no reported issues by residents of Community District 9 have cellular gaps and frequently drop calls that would justify Link 5G being installed in the proposed locations. And can you continue now? Whereas the proposed sites for Link 5G don't include any locations in areas known to be potential digital deserts within Community District 9, and whereas OTI and City Bridge have not provided detailed plans regarding the full build out of Link 5G, both within CD9 and other parts of the borough, and whereas there is a desire for any telecommunications infrastructure to be buried underground, both for reliability purposes and to minimize visual impacts. And whereas there have been questions raised by some residents as to whether sufficient research has been performed to fully assuage concerns that the radiation emitted by impacts on public health of the environment, including young children, seniors, people with medical implant devices, pets, plants, parks. And whereas the 5G towers pose safety risks, including combustion, accidents relating to the falling over the 5G towers. And whereas the community at large has expressed their views that Link 5G is unnecessary and unwanted in CD9 in Brooklyn at present, and until many of the issues identified have been resolved. Whereas New York City is in control of the process through its contract with the provider. Therefore, be it resolved that Community Board 9 disapproves of the proposal as presented to install Link 5G towers in the community district, and be it further resolved that Community Board 9 that a moratorium be placed on construction and planning of Link 5G poles and devices in Community District 9. Be it further resolved that the existing 5G are not activated and are removed. So that is the resolution that was proposed at the Environmental Protection Committee and was voted on by a majority of the members there present. The chair of Environmental Protection, did you have any comments that you wish to add with respect to the resolution that's on the floor?
Hi, everyone. As I mentioned earlier, I, recommend that the board members be given a presentation by all of the parties involved in this 5G topic, Link NYC, City Bridge, OTI, if you can get people from there to come in and do a presentation so the board members understand what's going on and is able to ask the questions that they may have on behalf of the community. And then I believe that the next steps would be to include the community resident input. I think that's, a good way of moving forward on this. And that's my recommendation.
Okay. Are there any questions? I see Madam Secretary. If there are any questions, please use the raise hand function. Well, actually, let's go back. Let's go back for a second. At this time, Exec Committee, you have the resolution before you. I'll entertain a motion to forward the resolution to the Community Board before the General Board. Is there a motion?
So made.
Okay. Lord. Ms. Leopold, Second Vice Chair Leopold, I see you.
May I speak?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, so are you forwarding that to the committee board at large for a vote?
Yeah, if we're approving this to go forward, unless if there's an unreadiness or if there's any issues, we're going to be voting to move this to the full board, and it'll be part of the package going forward.
Okay, because I just heard, I didn't hear you address what the chair just said, that before there is a vote, before you take a vote on this, to allow the parties involved to come in to make a presentation so that the members, the community at large can ask questions and have a better understanding, because we are hearing persons who live in Manhattan calling in from Manhattan representing Brooklyn, but we want to hear, and then we are just hearing there's two persons from Brooklyn talking. We want to hear from the community, because a lot of persons, they don't understand, they don't know what's happening. And just a group of us can just make a decision for the entire community. So, and unless they need to put this out there and then have those persons to come in, because persons seeing those things going up, they are just talking because they don't have a full understanding, the full concept as to what it's all about, and if persons have questions. So I don't think it is a place right now where we should take this and just move on with it and just get a vote on it and just move on with it. That's just me.
Okay, no, thank you for that. Ms. Watson-Ward.
Actually, I don't want to repeat everything Fran said. I agree with her. I have read everything that was shared with us from Ms. Boyd, including reading that whole chart and having a percentage of everywhere it is in Brooklyn, which zip codes has the most listed thing here. And I think my question was something that Dante, I think Dante had or somebody had asked about the percentage that are still waiting to be the percentage that are. And I also support the committee chair that we have a representative come in and speak to us officially. And like Fran said, I've been listening to people from other districts coming in and tell us what it is. And yet still, to me personally, I have tried to move beyond the writings from Ms. Boyd into find out exactly what health effects does this have on us, apart from being all the things that was mentioned, like rat infestation and stuff like that. I want to know the health effects. And so unless I could get a professional to come and to speak to us on this so that we all could ask our questions and come up, then I would be in a much more position to have really a good yes or no. If the environmental committee wants to put forward this resolution, I'm a member of this board, and this will be coming from the board, I will have to support it, but I would need more information. Things like this interest me, and I just don't take somebody else's opinion of it. I do my own research, and I have been, and so I need to know a little bit more from the professionals now.
Thank you for the comment. I see Silky and then Primo.
I know I'm not a voting member here, but I just wanted to say that the board has actually been asking questions and asking OTI to come and speak to us on this issue for years, and they blew us off. They held some general public hearing sessions for all the community boards, which a couple of us attended, and it seems like what we said was ignored or they went around us. So I think you really have to make a strong statement to get them to take you seriously. I don't disagree that it's good to find out more about what's going on and to hear from the agencies, but they haven't been willing to engage. And I think it's only because these community boards from Manhattan had their elected officials, put a stop to it, that they may come in and speak about what the master plan is or something like that. So that's, just what and also I have to tell you, my neighborhood association, which is a historic district, a few years back, we wrote a letter to them to say that we didn't want this, these shroud things on top of the historic light poles. So, and they didn't end up doing that plan. So I think you have to say something. If you keep waiting for them to just come and talk to you, they never will. That's all I have to say.
No, thank you for that point. Primo.
Yeah, it's a tricky one, right? We have something that has been approved by the FCC, something that has been approved by the city of New York, and I think that for our community board to do our own research would potentially be faulty. We're not experts in radiation, we're not experts in construction, we're not experts in communications. So I value that. I think, similar to the conversations that were had about vaccinations, right? Like we're not doctors, we're not scientists, and we're not professionals in this. And I think even for us to have somebody come and talk to us would only be a single point of data when there are thousands or millions of points of data around this work that have been considered by professionals, again, which we are not. And so I understand that we are hearing the voice of dissent around these towers. We don't know what the actual impetus for that dissent is, whether it's because they are an eyesore, whether it's because there are actually potentially physical implications of this. So for me, I feel like this is the kind of thing that I am not qualified to have an opinion on. The community is telling us what they would like, but I also don't know that the community has correct information or that we're hearing all the voices from the community. So I just wanted to offer that perspective because it's easy for folks who disagree with something to commune and then voice that disagreement, whereas folks who are perfectly fine with it will never hear from. So just something to consider.
Yeah, and I'm going to recognize myself as well. And I think that, I agree with a lot of what's been said. I think that at its base, I agree with the idea of a moratorium because I think there are a lot of questions that we don't have information for. And to the point that the chair made, there's some people who need to be responsive and need to answer to the community, to the board. For the most part, some of the items, I'm not sure if I'm 100% with. I think that I don't necessarily want to close off and say it's a total disapproval because I don't know if we have enough information to disapprove. But I think we can say, no, we need a moratorium because we don't have enough information to make an informed decision. Part of that being because I think the process was thwarted between short notice and the implementation and the way it happened. And I think there's not sufficient information. And I think the health effects are something that need to be addressed fully. I think in terms of that, I stand in favor of a moratorium. I'm not sure if I'm ready to go as far as the disapproval, but to the point that the chair, again, that the chair made is I think that we need to force the conversation and people need to be accountable to the district. OTI needs to come, Department of Health needs to come. We need to get the latest data with respect to the FCC and what is actually there. And I think we get the correct information with respect to 5G. The same way I can say I like 5G or I don't like 5G, some people will never get next to a microwave oven. But you know what? Otherwise, a lot of people heat their food. I couldn't tell you one way or another, but I think those are the questions that at least we should get official answers from people who are qualified and can give us the information for that. So to that point, I think it's okay for us to go, but I think there might need to be some modification in terms of we go towards a moratorium. I think that's definitely needed and identify the next steps that should happen after as a part of that. And I think that by asking for the moratorium and demanding that we get those answers, it keeps the conversation going as opposed to us just closing the door and say, well, we disapprove and that's it. All right. Are there any other questions with respect to the motion on the floor to approve, to move forward? Okay, hearing none. So the question is before the members of the exec. Those members of the exec who wish to approve this motion to bring to the full board at the next general board meeting, please say aye.
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 Okay. All right. Are there any members of the exec who are opposed? Please say, state your name for the record so we can record. I call again. Are there any members of the exec who wish to vote in opposition? Please state your name for the record. Hearing none, Madam Secretary. All right. Are there any members of the exec who wish to abstain from the motion? Please state your name for the record so we can record. Call again for a second time. Are there any members of the exec who wish to abstain from the motion? Please state your name for the record. Okay, hearing none. Motion carries. This item will be added to the agenda for next week. All right.
Excuse me, Fred, did Kyrie and Nick vote?
I didn't hear anything.
Linda?
I did.
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
Kyrie?
Kyrie, can we just confirm? Did you vote in favor or?
Where's Nicholas? He's not there anymore?
No, he's there. He did say he did say he's in favor.
Okay, thank you.
Okay,
Kyrie, are you there? Well, hold on, let's confirm this.
Kyrie's there, but he's muted.
Yeah, Kyrie, are you there? We just want to make sure we can confirm. Okay, Madam Secretary, don't put a vote yet. We'll try and ask him later
Okay.
on. So don't put a vote yet. Okay, but I do hear a majority of the board has voted in favor.
Yes,
So-
it's passed. I was just curious.
Yeah,
Okay.
no, but that's appropriate. So we'll just make sure we're not gonna record a vote because he hasn't spoken. I didn't hear him either. Okay, all right, so we're gonna go on. Public safety, we have 3 liquor license applications. One for La Estrella de Castillo, I'm probably messing up the name, for a wine, beer, and cider license. I see we heard for one for Gruit, or for a new owner it's a new license. Was it wine, beer, and cider or full license?
Full license.
Full license. And we heard one for 429 Rogers Avenue, that's GRBD Incorporated, for a full license, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, so per the chair, they weren't able to vote on it in committee, but he's forwarded it to us for consideration. Do members of the exec, do we have enough information to pass this to the full board?
Yes.
Before we go,
Okay.
GRBA Incorporated, is that full license or beer and wine?
GRBD is a full license.
Got it. Okay, just want to make sure it's right.
Absolutely. Thank you, Linda.
Okay, all right, so listen, let's do this. Do I have a motion to put all 3 applications before the board at the May meeting? Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Okay, I have a move by Nicholas Almanor. Do I have a second?
Seconded.
Okay, hold on. Before you go, wait, hold on. You see?
Sure.
The motion was to go in front of the full board.
3, I only got 2. You only got 2, just not the Gruit for the full license and GRBD.
Gruit, yep, GRBD, and then La Estrella de Castillo.
Spell that, please.
LAESTRELLADECastillo.
The Star of Castillo.
Okay, Fred, flexing on us with the Spanish.
I've about reached the end of that.
License 2, I got
Ask me
beer
no
and
more.
wine.
That's a cider, beer, and wine.
Okay, good. Got it. I know one was beer and wine, but I want to make sure.
Okay, and please record. So it was moved by Nicholas Almanor, seconded by Warren Burke. Sorry, Primo, it has to be one of the exec has to put that on.
Oh, that's right. Yep. And I forget
Okay.
sometimes that I have no power here.
No worries. But your words carry
Get
weight.
used to it, Primo.
But it's been moved and seconded. Are there any questions? Is there any readiness from the members of the exec? Okay, hearing none, I'm going to call the question. Well, let me ask this. Is there any objection to common consent?
No.
All right, I hear no objections. Kyrie, are you there?
No.
Okay,
Should we just do a roll call vote?
let's do a roll call vote. I just want
It'll
to
just get this over with.
Yeah.
Linda, you're on mute.
Ready?
Yep.
Mr. Chair?
Ready.
Fred, back, please.
Chair votes in favor.
Warren Burke,
Yes.
Francisco Leopold,
Yeah.
Linda Watson Lord, yes. Mayor Legote,
Yes.
thank you. Nicholas Almanar,
In favor.
thank you. Kyrie Allen, Kyrie Allen. Mr. Chair, no vote from Kyrie Allen. So we've got 6 in favor, 1 absent.
Okay, motion carries. Thank you very much. All right.
Thank you very much. I'm going to take my leave at this point. I believe since I'm powerless,
You gotta
there's no
stick it out.
point
You
to
gotta
me
stick
being
it
here.
out. You gotta stick it out.
I'll just
sir.
stick it
No,
out.
Primo, I need you to stick around for a couple of minutes.
We're
Are
gonna move.
Y'all are serious? If you're serious, I'll stick around.
I'm
I don't know if you're
serious.
joking. Okay,
course
all right,
you
I'll stick around. Okay.
Okay, all right. So next we have the resolution from ULURP. Dante, do you have that resolution? Can you put it up?
Yep.
Okay. This one's not a long one, but the board needs to look at it, and we just want to discuss it very quick.
You can see this?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, hold on a second. Let me just minimize. Okay, so the resolution on the City of Yes for carbon neutrality. Okay, whereas the Department of City Planning has conducted an environmental assessment for the aforementioned zoning text amendments that resulted in a negative declaration and will therefore not conduct a full environmental impact study. And whereas if the aforementioned text amendments are required to make certain energy efficiency projects feasible and widely adopted in accordance with city and state policy, then these text amendments can be expected to have a significant citywide impact on visual resources, historical and cultural districts, health and safety, and parking availability. And whereas if the aforementioned text amendments are not required to make these energy efficiency projects feasible or widely adopted, then citywide text amendments are not required, and the limited number of projects seeking changes could utilize the variance or zoning override process. Therefore, it is resolved that CB9 requests that the Department of City Planning either conduct a full environmental impact study on the citywide impacts to visual, can you scroll down a little bit? Yeah, to visual, historical, and cultural resources, health and safety, and parking availability, or withdraw the citywide text amendments and allow individual developers to pursue variances or zoning overrides. So that is the resolution that has been adopted by the ULURP committee. Is Pat still there?
I'm still here.
Thank you, Pat. Okay, so this resolution was voted on. Could you describe the process? So it was approved where, and was it approved by a committee?
Okay, it went through with Suki committee first, and then it came to our committee.
Okay, and it was approved by a quorum. There was a quorum and it was
Oh,
approved.
yes, as a matter of fact, it's 7 members and 7 members approved to bring it forward, and that's it also in our minutes.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, so let's do this. Is there a motion on the floor to adopt the resolution of the ULURP committee? For the is there a motion?
So made.
Okay, it's moved by First Vice Chair Warren Burke. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second by Second Vice Chair Francisco Leopold. Questions? Are there any questions with respect to the amendment, to the resolution? Going once, going twice. Okay, we're going to call the question. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
All right. Fred Baptiste,
Chair votes in favor.
Warren Burr,
First chair votes in favor.
Francisco Leopold,
Second chair, vote in favor.
Linda Watson Lord, the secretary vote in favor. Mayor Lagote. Mayor. Thank you. Nicholas Almanar.
In favor.
Kyrie Allen. Kyrie Allen. Mr. Chair, vote 6-4-1 absent.
Okay, thank you. Motion carried. That will be presented to before the full board. Okay, I believe that was, oh, actually, Mr. Almor, glad we got you here. I think you said during your report there was one item your committee voted on. Would you be able to just confirm what that is and if that's something the board needs to vote on? Mr. Almor, are you there? You know, okay, we'll wait for him to come back. Actually, let's go back. So part of the district manager's report, there was a report in terms of the community fair. So the fair, I believe he said, is an estimated cost of $8,300. At this time, I think it's appropriate for us to bring it before the board to approve the allocation for the fair, for the resources that are being provided. Do I have a motion to adopt the recommendation of the district manager to approve up to $8,300 for the community fair scheduled for June 3rd?
So moved.
Okay, I heard it moved by Linda Watson Lord. The second?
Francisco Leopold.
Seconded by Francisco Leopold. Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Are there any questions with respect to this?
Oh, gee.
Okay, are there any questions with respect to the motion? Okay, hearing none, we're going to call the question. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Okay, the vote is approved. The $3,000 budget for our community fair.
8,300. 83.
I said 83, 8,383. Right. All right. Fred Baptiste,
Chair votes in favor.
Warren Burke,
The first chair votes no.
okay. Francisco Leopold,
Yes.
and the Watson Lord, yes. May Lagote. Yes. Nicholas Almanar. Nicholas?
In favor, yes.
Thank you. Kyrie Allen,
Great. Hello, Linda, did you call my name? My apologies.
I call your name for 3 votes, Kyrie, and you weren't there. What am I supposed to do? You wasn't on this one? Kyrie?
Linda,
Kyrie,
yes.
are we voting? The vote right now, the vote on the table is to put up $8,300 for the budget for the community fair. Are you in favor or not?
Yes.
Thank you.
My service is breaking up, so I'm sitting here. I didn't even, this is crazy.
Okay, I got your vote. Chair,
Okay,
we have 6 for, 1 against.
okay, 6-4, 1 against, motion carries. It's been approved by the exec. It'll go before the full board. Okay, I believe that was, oh,
Mr.
Mr. Almanor.
Mr. Almanor, you left again?
Mr. Almanor, are you there?
Yes, I am here.
Okay, during your report, you said that there was one item your committee had voted on.
Yeah,
What was that item?
the committee voted on to recommend the proposal by the organization Hey Neighbor to be installed at Parkside Plaza. I would like to make a motion to bring it to the general board that the committee voted and approve. And in addition, I would ask them to come and do a short presentation at the general board, so everybody will be fully aware what they are trying to do.
All right, let's take the piece for the approval first, and we'll discuss the general board. Is going to be a packed agenda, so that's the only reason why I want to be careful with that in terms of if we're able to support. But the motion on the floor by the member at large, Nicholas Almanor, is to move forward to the general board the recommendation for the Hey Neighbor program.
Yes.
Okay, it's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Warren Burke. Discussion. I'll raise my hand first. So what is the Hey Neighbor program doing? And what do we need to do?
Hey Neighbor is going to do a one-day installation of a photographic display at Parkside Plaza. The whole process starts with a workshop they do in October where they get different people from the different area of the city to come and meet together and get to know each other. And they all take pictures of each other. And then they spread it out to various areas of the community. And one day they would install the photographs and they will have presentation, workshop, entertainment, and so on.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Are there any questions with respect to the motion on the floor?
What is required of the board?
Just to say, yes, we want it in the community board, that's all. They're not asking for money, they're not asking for anything. Everything is fully funded. They simply want to make sure that the community board is on board for them to come and do the, I would say the presentation or the event on Parkside Plaza.
Okay. Is it a letter of support they need or just an affirmative vote on the record?
Vote on the record. They didn't ask for a letter of support, just to vote on the record.
Okay. Okay, are there any more questions for, with regards to the motion? Suki, I see you. Suki, did you have a question? All right, well, let's do this very quickly. I see, who has questions on, with respect to the motion, very quickly? We're gonna take these three. I see Suki, I see Ms. Westerdahl, and I see Ms. Moses. I see three. Are there any more questions with respect to the motion on the floor?
Just very quickly, I assume that
Hold on, let me
Parkside,
just want to make sure we get the hands, because we're gonna close the floor in a second. Any other questions? Please raise your hand now, because after that, we're done. Okay, all right, Suki, go ahead.
just very quickly, Nicholas, I assume that Parkside Plaza has approved this project.
Yes, they have.
Okay.
They already work with the people that do a lot of the activity at Parkside Plaza.
Okay,
Yeah,
all right,
yes, they
thanks.
already approve of that,
Okay.
yes. Mhm.
Okay, thank you for that. Ms. Westerdahl.
I had a question similar to Suki, and also just was wondering who's funding this organization. I understand the name is Hey Neighbor, but who's funding it?
I think they are working out of Columbia University. You could go and check in their website, all that information is there. Just Google Hey Neighbor.
All right, yeah, I just want to make sure that it's legit, that's all.
Okay, thank
Thanks.
you. Chair Moses.
Yeah, the presentation, where is that going to be done at, in your committee, or are you saying to come in front of the board?
It's an actual performance, I would say, presentation at Parkside Plaza. They're gonna have a large photograph of based on the work they have done, and also they'll have performance and presentation right in the plaza. It's for an event.
Oh, so we just need to attend, is that what you're saying?
Correct.
Okay, got it, thanks.
Ms. Moses.
Okay. All right, that exhausts the speakers list. Okay, so at this point, we are going to call the question. Are there, okay, let me ask this. Is there any objection to common consent?
No.
Call for a second. Any objection to common consent?
No. No
Okay.
squared.
Okay, all right, so the motion, hearing no objection, the motion is passed by common consent. Madam Secretary, please record common consent for the committee, the executive committee. All right, now we're gonna put this together very quickly. We've got the resolution,
Fred,
we've got,
Fred,
yes.
I want to say a couple of words.
Let's do the agenda.
I knew you'd forget. Well, I'm going to say a couple of words. So
I-
anyway, I want to share with my fellow board members, and I wasn't going to say with it tonight, but because of Alicia's vile and libelous comments, I just wanted to share that as of yesterday, prior to her comments, and I want this on the record, that I informed Primo that I will not be running for first vice chair. I also informed Chair Baptist, second chair Francesca, Primo, who was on the nominations committee. So I do not want Alicia to think that her libelous and virile comments had anything to do with my decision. I am just really happy to have done the work I've done. I'm very positive about this board, but I'm 71 years old and I've decided to slow down while still being on the board. So thank you.
No, thank you very much.
Thank you for
and
your
thank
service, Warren.
Thank you, Warren. And just want to confirm that Warren did share that with me earlier this week. And also, yeah, thank you,
Me
Warren.
too. He shared that with me on Sunday.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you, Warren.
Thank you. All right, one last piece of business. We're gonna do this very quickly and we're gonna conclude for the evening. All right, so.
All right, Fred, I have a little more to say. I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
All right, Dante, do we have any presentations scheduled for the board meeting?
We were trying to get Bridge Street out, come and do a quick presentation, 10 10 minutes at max, to just go over the data.
Let's put a placeholder on that one for a second. Okay, so let's look. So agenda so far.
Yeah, on the presentation, may I say that also the Brooklyn Museum wanted to present last month. They had canceled. They wanted to come in June for the, so I just want to make a note
All right,
of that.
please just make sure you let the district office know that they're looking to do that. And we'll see where they can fit in for the next month. We're running out of road here, so it's gonna be difficult. But okay, so let's open public session. We're gonna open with call to order.
Well, hold on, excuse me, Linda, were you able to make sure I was marked present today when you called the roll, because I didn't
You
hear?
missed 3 votes. Come on.
Excuse me, I've been on this meeting
No,
the
you
entire
missed- you
time
missed
that
3
stretched over
votes.
3
Why
hours.
should you
Warren,
be
Hold on,
thank
hold
you
on,
for your
hold on, hold
service.
on. We will come back.
Just
Hold on, hold on,
making a
hold on.
point.
Order of the
clearly
day.
present
Order
at
of the
this
day.
meeting.
Order of the day. We're going to continue this one. We'll come back and we'll take care of that afterwards. But we need to get this done. So
What?
we need to get the agenda done. Hold on, we'll take
Okay,
care
I'm
of that.
asking that what was on the agenda if I was just marked present. I watch you all do this all the time and say yes or no. I've been present. all
No,
meeting.
totally.
No,
Kyrie,
we are going.
you've been marked present for the meeting, but when they call a vote and they ask for folks to acknowledge if they're present for a vote, you just didn't respond. So that's all that it's going to reflect is that happened.
Yes, and you can, we already vote, so I can't go back and redo the vote for one person.
Right.
Listen, Linda, I did not ask you to go back and revote.
Okay,
Why are
okay,
you
okay.
every time
All
I
right,
say anything? you
everyone,
all
order
do
of the
this.
day. Order of the day.
I
Order of the
watch
day.
you all do this all the time.
Order.
It's a joke.
Okay, Kyrie, order of the day. Order of the day.
Bye,
Just
Linda.
amazing.
Okay, order of the day. So call to order. It's gonna be the call to order, rules of order. All right, we're gonna leave a place mark for presentations. I don't think we'll have enough time for those today. We have a number of things we have to do. We have SLA applications. We have 3 of them. We have La Estrella de Castillo. We have Gruit. And we have GRBD, I believe it was. And we'll get that correct for the agenda.
Yep.
Okay, so we have those 3 liquor licenses. After that, we're going to have public commentary. After public commentary, we're going to have acknowledgements. Okay, after acknowledgements, we are going to go into the business session. Business session, we're going to have roll call. After roll call, we are going to have committee reports. Remember, chairs, please make sure you have submitted all of your reports to the district office. You know, they will be there for everything will be written, it'll be to the board. There are no reports required. Those with action items, we'll discuss those. Those will be a part of the agenda. Only if you have a major announcement you need to give. So that's committee reports. After that, we will have a chair. No, we're going to do a treasurer's report. We'll do a treasurer's report in June. Okay. So that'll give you and Dante a chance to get together, and you can just make sure there's a final report, or it's close to a final report in June for the board. All right, Dante, I would probably say it's probably helpful though to have information ready in terms of the state of the budget currently, just in case there are questions, because you do have an action item about an allocation.
Understood.
Okay, so we're going to skip that. We're going to have the district manager's report. Okay, we will have the chair's report. Okay, special orders. We're going to note it as special orders. First item is going to be nominations. Okay, so Primo, this is where you come in. So we'll do the nominations from the floor. You give your report and you give the nominations from the floor. Okay.
I'm ready.
All right. After the special order, then we're going to go into the voting items. We are going to have the following. We're going to have the 3 SLA applications. Like I said, there's going to be a busy night. We are going to have the ULURP resolution. We we are going to have, the Link 5G resolution. And then we are going to have the budget allocation for the fair. Budget allocation for the fair, okay. I think those are all the voting items we approved, right? The 3 SLA, the ULURP, Link 5G, and the fair, community fair. After that, we don't have any old business that we're bringing from the floor. Any new business, which may include, I think there were some events that we might need to approve for youth services. We'll confirm that, and if so, it'll either be added as new business, or I may entertain a motion to add it as part of the agenda. So we'll see how that gets handled. After new business, we will call for adjournment. Okay, is there anything missing from the agenda as I stated? Are we good?
Sounds like a great agenda, Fred.
Sounds like a full agenda.
Let's wrap it up.
Sounds like a full agenda. And with that being said, I think we're going to delay. We're going to defer on any presentations for this month. We got to just jump straight into the SLA applications and just keep it moving because we got a lot of stuff we got to cover. So if you have any groups that are looking to present, please let's either push them to the committee meetings for June, as many as we can to committee meetings in June, and we'll see what's left at the end and how many we can take it for the June meeting. Although I will say in advance, that's probably going to be a packed agenda as well. Okay, so with that, I will entertain a motion to adopt.
Before you go, Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I just want to make something clear. I'm sorry that Kyrie was not here. For the 3 votes that Kyrie did not answer, right? It was not intentional for me to left him out or for me to left him out.
We're all clear on that. We're all clear on that. There's no need to defend your position. We're all clear on what happened.
I just wanted to say, right, why I voiced it because his vote would not really have made any difference. If it was like a tie and we needed it, I sure would have gone back for him.
It doesn't matter. He didn't respond.
Wow, he wasn't there. Doesn't matter. We
Yeah.
all heard it.
You've done nothing wrong. Everything's fine.
No, absolutely. And I echo that sentiment. You were absolutely appropriate. Thank you very much for taking the meetings and for doing your job. Okay.
Mina's got a hand up. I think she's ready to pass a motion to.
You gonna put that motion on the floor, Mina? You gonna put the motion on the floor to adopt the agenda?
The audio's a little funky, Mina. From you, we couldn't hear you.
If we had 5G, maybe everyone could hear each other.
Noted.
Thank you for making the chair smile at the end of the day. Thank you very much for that. Okay, I will entertain a motion to adopt the agenda as stated. Do I have a motion? I see the treasurer shaking her head yes. Thank you very much. Moved by Mina Lagout. Do I have a second? Do I have a second? I was just gonna say, we're dragging this out here.
I was sort of dozing off.
Second by the first vice chair. Moved and seconded. All right. All those in favor. All those in favor. No, listen, as a matter of fact, let's do this. Call the roll. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Savage and hilarious. You're on mute, Linda. You're on mute, Linda.
Oh, you're on mute.
Fred Baptiste,
Chair votes in favor.
Warren Burke,
I vote in favor.
Francisco Leopold,
Yes, I'm adding flavor to it too.
Linda Watson, Lord, I in favor of a seasoning from Barbados.
Oui.
Mena, Nicholas Almanar,
Oui, en faveur.
perfect. Kyrie Arlene? Absent. Mr. Chair, one absent. Motion carried.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
All
Thank
right.
you for the good work, Linda.
Thank you very much. Okay, we have reached the end of the agenda. We're going to keep it very short. So listen, very packed agenda. We need to make sure, and I implore everyone right now, comments, questions, keep it short. Okay, spread the word, keep it short. We have a ton to do. I know we hate long meetings. Unfortunately, this is the work we have to do that's before us. We need to make sure we get through it. But the only way we're going to do it effectively is that we're making sure we're staying short and sweet and to the point. Ask the questions. We don't need the grandstand for 7 minutes. Make the points and we move on, and we're going to complete the agenda. And we're going to do what we're
You
here
know,
to do.
Fred, I was going to review my last 10 years.
I was just gonna say, we're looking at you, Warren.
I know. I have so much to say, and
Why don't you just write up a document and we'll all read it?
well, actually, a book.
Primo,
So-
is it-
Sure,
is it
just
too late
forward it to
call
me, yeah.
you?
Just
Anyway,
forward
I
it to us.
will want to say that
Primo?
it's just a pleasure with working with everyone.
And,
Okay, so thank you.
and let me finish on that note. And I want to
Okay,
say on a
I'm asking
personal note.
I'm asking Primo. Primo, is it too late to call you when we finish for 2 minutes?
Well, I mean, yeah, I'm still wondering why Fred and Warren had me stick around for the last 20 minutes. So, but it's meaning my
The
time is
reason-
yours, Francisca.
Primo-
My time is yours.
Okay, I'll
Primo,
call
the
you for 2
reason
minutes
why
when
I
we
take,
finish.
My comments, that's all.
Got it. Understood. Understood. Francisca,
Okay.
absolutely. Give me a call.
All right, just very briefly, less than 10 seconds. I just want to say on a personal note, thank you so much, Warren, for your service to this board and for your friendship and everything you've done in terms of supporting this administration over the last 5 years at this point. Thank you very much. Looking forward to continuing working with you on the board, and thank you for your service and stepping up and taking the leadership role.
Thank you.
Okay.
And
Here.
I'm hoping for the regular meeting, there'll be a video, okay?
A video
I-
retrospective, yeah, there you go.
We'll put together a
I-
montage.
I was
Actually,
hoping for
let's let
Warren.
Alicia do it.
I was
I gotta
hoping for
go.
Warren to say something, but since he didn't put it out there, I'll say it. I'm sorry, Warren, to bust your bubbles, but Warren and I will be eloping.
Oh,
Exactly.
I love that. I love that.
We're,
I love
we're
that
not
for you
listening,
too.
not
Send
listening to you
pics.
two, not
Okay,
listening.
you know,
Send pics.
Francesca, we could get married right after Primo.
And with that, this is where I tap the gavel. We are.
It's the
Have a
season of
good
love.
night. Thank
Bring
you
us
all.
home,
We've
Fred.
completed
Good
the
night,
agenda.
everybody.
We stand adjourned. Time is now 10:22 p.m. Madam Secretary. You can leave the
Seconded,
closed-
moved, and passed. Yeah. Good
Yeah.
night, everybody.
Good night.
Thank you.
Nice meeting. Bye, everyone.
Good meeting. Thanks for all the work and welcome, Alina.
Thank you.